Okay, welcome guys. We're back from our break. I'm Aeneas, and with me for the grand finals is gonna be Wham, one of our direct invites for the King of the Rockies. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy, excited to watch the games today. See who
Mm.
I'm up against. Looking forward to it.
Did you did some coaching to Puppy Paw already, or is he good on him on his own?
I think Puppy Paw's pretty experienced on his own. He knows what
Mm.
he's doing. Hopefully we'll get to watch his series in a bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Puppy Paw is very strong. I think he's probably the favorite to qualify today out of
Mm.
the first pool, I think. However, we're not watching Puppy Paw right now. We're watching Msn versus Valdemar. Two very good players themselves. And I actually don't know who's going to qualify. I think these guys are very, very closely matched, actually.
They are very closely matched, and actually last weekend in our War Chief Club, they actually were in the finals as well, against each other, and it was very close, 3-2 series. If I remember correctly, MSN took it by just a tiny notch there, but they're very closely seated actually, both number 17 and 18 in their ATR ranking, so very closely seated, very well. They know each other very well as well. I want to say so. I'm very excited for that series. It's gonna be pretty hype, and yeah, again, like kind of a rematch from last weekend.
Yeah, they do know each other quite well. They're both Scandinavians, I think. And I think they're on the
Mhm.
same team now. If
Yes.
I'm. Yeah, they're on the same team, so they probably have some practice with each other. I'm
Hmm.
sure they know each other's gameplay quite well, so. Um, they probably know more about each other than we do. But with that, we're kind of getting the civs and the map bans here.
Yeah, so Roos, the first one getting through, both players banning Juicy and Chinese, so none of them want to see that being played. Japanese and Byzantines also coming through, as well as HRE. So very strong Civ so far.
Yeah, so not surprising that both players banned China, but Zushi
Hmm.
is a little bit more surprising personally. And we're actually seeing Valdemar allow MSN to get Japan and Byzantines. Personally, I really like those civs, but Valdemar, going with the classic Rus HRE combo, very strong as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
oh, that's. Oh, yeah. Sorry, go on.
no, sorry. Yeah, I also agree that Valdemar is going with the kind of like more of the classic civilizations here, HRE, French, Rus. Um, and Valdemar more going for the quote unquote newer civilizations there. Um, do you have a favorite so far from just looking at the civilizations? I mean, Rus very very strong, obviously, but other than that.
Well, personally, I like Byzantines Japan more than Rus HRE at the moment, but they're very
Hmm.
close. What I'm surprised the most about is Valdemar went third pick OTD, and for those who actually caught the Magic Valdemar game, Valdemar had a really nice game with OTD on Prairie, so that might be where he's using it, but I'm still surprised by it, and I think both players at the moment have quite a strong pool of civilizations to pick through.
Mm.
It's hard to favor one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, we also have three more civilizations to come through. Mongols coming through on Valdemar's side, so I personally really love that. My favorites would be Mongols and Byzantines. KT is also still in the mix. Jeanne d'Arc is possible still. English hasn't been picked. House of Lancaster on MSN's side, so as well as Ottomans and Ayyubids. Abbasid as well is still there. Um,
Yeah, so we don't have any water maps in this map host,
mhm.
so pure land maps. And Delhi is picked. I was that's kind of what I was thinking of. I was surprised we weren't seeing Delhi a bit sooner.
Mhm.
Emerson picks that up as his last pick, but also a very strong civ. I think that
Yeah,
he'll do well with that.
yeah. I mean, with on Coastal Cliffs, it. Well, no, my Coastal Cliffs not on the pool here. Yeah,
We'll have to
interesting.
see. Do we know the first map?
I don't think we. Is it
Cliffside.
Cliffside? Okay, Cliffside.
Yeah, so Cliffside, I think Cliffside is a pretty versatile map. We could see anything. From Valdemar, I'd probably say Japan, Mongols maybe would be what I would be throwing out there. Very aggressive civs on a very aggressive map. MSN on the other hand, I think H3 could do well. Ottomans could do well. Actually, MSN has a lot more options in my opinion. He has a much more balanced civilization pool. So I wouldn't be shocked to see any civilization on the side of MSN actually.
Yeah, I mean, with both players spawning relatively close on that map, and then the cliffs in the middle kind of forming some natural walls, you can play it very aggressively, but you can also play it a little bit more turtley kind of style if you want to, I guess. So yeah, I could imagine Roos, but that also depends on what he expects from Valdemar's side, I would say.
Yeah, we could see Roos. It's definitely more of a defensive gameplay, but you do have Roos is very defensive. They have good walls. They have a good wooden tower, wooden outpost.
Yeah, the Wood Fortress, yeah.
Wooden fortress. That's what they're called. Yeah. My bad. I don't get the names too good. I just
Don't
remember
worry.
what they are. um,
Yeah.
But yeah, if he doesn't want to pick Roos, he has many other options. Roos is also good on Pigeon's View. We have Rockies. We have. I don't think we have Front Range. I think MSN banned that. It seems like. But
Yeah,
many
so
other interesting maps we have.
yeah, for sure. So Front Range, yeah, the special King of the Rockies 2025 map had been banned, so we've seen it a couple times today already, but we're not gonna see it in this pool finals at least. But yeah,
Yeah, and we can.
I'm kind of surprised actually that the water maps have been banned. Like I was imagining that, and from like my experience with War Chief Club, that higher level players are not as allergic to water maps as lower level players. So kind of hoping for
Yeah, I
that.
mean, some people just don't enjoy them anyway, but we can see now the Civ picks coming in. MSN opting for the Ottomans, and Valdemar is actually going for the Byzantines. So, personally, I'm a bit surprised with Byzantines. I'm not too surprised with the Ottoman pick, but I'm interested to see what Valdemar has prepared with the Byzantines here, if he has anything special on this map in particular.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And I mean, you also, since it's a best of 5, you kind of have to think long term sometimes with the Civ picks. And would you imagine that either civilization is kind of like a throwaway pick in this situation just to get it out, and then maybe have something better for the later stages? Or is that like, does these picks make sense to you?
I think these picks make sense to me. The issue is you can't really have a throwaway pick in a best of 5, especially when, I mean, English maybe, but even then you have 5 other civilizations to have. Every map counts, and Ottomans is more than capable of taking, any civ that Valdemar throws out here. Ottomans is, a strong mid kind of pick here. What I am curious about is Voldemort kind of must assume that MSN has the ability to tower rush. He could have been up versus House of Lancaster, HRE, Ottomans in this example, right? So he definitely has to be prepared for the fact that he can get tower rushed in this situation. I don't know if he's going to respond with a Hippodrome, with a Barak, maybe he ignores it entirely. But he has to respond in some way, and I'm sure he's thinking about it, but I think that's probably where our mind's going to go immediately once the game opens, both Valdemar, MSN, and the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, as Byzantines, you kind of want to chill for a couple minutes, not get disturbed, and Ottomans can at least be played the exact opposite, getting aggressive very, very early on with either the military schools or with discounted barracks with only 100 wood instead of the reasonable 150. So yeah, Valdemar definitely needs to prepare for some early Dark Age aggression. And from a viewer's perspective, that's really great. It's games where it takes 10 minutes to actually set up is they're kind of boring. And so having some nice Dark Age aggression, I'm really all for it.
Yeah, me too. It's always I really have been enjoying Dark Age Regression in these games as well. Very aggro oriented.
Yeah.
And we can even see beforehand. I kind of want to highlight the matches beforehand. MSN has went 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. And the same with Voldemort. And both of these players have gone up against quite strong players, actually. MSN has gone up versus Eliona and another strong player, Ano Vaku.
Vaku.
He's a CIS region player, very strong. And Voldemort has gone up versus Papercut and I Am Magic. Now, for anyone following the scene, I've personally played quite a bit of games with Magic, so I know he's quite strong. And yeah, and obviously Voldemort and MSN are quite strong, but we're gonna kind of see the two players go up against each other. Very strong performances in this tournament, and I think personally we're in for a good match here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you actually, as far as I know, you actually coached and helped, or not, maybe not coached is the right term, but you helped iMagic to get up back on speed, since he, took a little bit of a break, from the scene, and so I think you're more closely familiar to how good he is at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm deeply invested in Magic's Age of Empires 4 return. Not making it through this time, but there's two other chances, and the games were very close. And losing to Voldemort is not something that you should feel too bad about, especially if you just came back to the game. So
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I mean, I guess you're also invested in King of the Rockies since you'll be, you'll be playing there as well. You're on one of the direct invites, as mentioned, because you won last year's King of the Rockies, which I watched it from afar. Had been a great experience, even like from miles away, back here in Germany, in Europe. But how do you feel returning back to that place?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it more than ever. This time I kind of know, a little bit more about it. Obviously, I was quite excited for the previous tournament, but now I kind of feel more comfortable, know what I'm doing, know what to expect, and yeah, I'm just happy to see, everyone there loves Age of Empires 4. Everyone, has a passion for it, and I love to see that as well, because obviously I do. So I'm looking forward to it very much in general, I think.
Great, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like we've seen more and more LAN tournaments lately, like in the last 1 or 2 years, I want to say. And so since that is a very different environment to play in, compared to the comfort of your home, I guess that the more tournaments you have under your belt, the better it feels to to have that positive anxiety going to a LAN tournament. So I'm also really looking forward to King of the Rockies. And at that point, I also want to, I guess ask the viewers if you enjoyed so far what you've seen today and what we brought up here. We asked you to donate. We are community funded. This tournament also is community funded. World's Edge is also sponsoring it with a $50,000 prize pool. That is, noteworthy, but we're still community funded, and we need to cover the cost, the back cost. And so, if you can spare something, if you can support us, you can either donate directly, or you can go and visit our shop to purchase some merch and support us that way as well.
Yeah, actually, I still have my King of the Rockies merch from the previous year. It's always a good reminder, wearing it around the house. I think pretty cool.
Rubbing it in Puppy Paw's face.
No, of course not. No, he got his own, But it's always a good reminder to step back and be like, these events in general are not really happening unless there's a deep community involvement, and as a player, as a viewer often. You can't help but be very appreciative for. I mean, obviously, Ward's Edge is donating quite a bit, but again, without the community support, especially these in-person events, wouldn't happen. So it's very nice to see all the support coming through. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I also had the privilege, I want to say, to be part of the Garrison in Hamburg earlier this year in March, which was an amazing event as well. And the prize pool is one side of an event, but all the cost in the back, for staff, for the venue, for merch, to put everything up there at first, really is the other side of it. And both are important, and one cannot happen without the other. And so that's why we rely on the community to help us make this event a great success, to also have even bigger and better events in the future, right? We're building kind of like a grassroots effort. We're building something that will grow in the future, and so that's why the community is really important to involve in this effort.
Yeah, exactly. I see it firsthand. You see it firsthand. It's really important. And yeah, with that being said, let's jump into the game. But I am looking forward to Emerson as the Ottomans on the first side, playing as the blue, and we also see starting with a Barak in the Dark Age, up versus Valdemar with the Byzantines on the top side, and he has started berries, so we know that he knows he might get Dark Age Rush here.
Yeah, I mean, usually you don't really want to open up with the Byzantines on the berries if you plan to, use 100% of it with the Grand Winery. So yeah, that definitely indicates that he expects the Dark Age aggression, which we see the first Spearman coming out, and the second one is a Q already. And it also, I think, at least could indicate that he's not looking for the Grand Winery, which is the more popular landmark, or at least has been. And instead, he might actually look for the Hippodrome, which we've seen more lately.
Yeah, exactly. So Voldemort obviously giving himself the breathing room to. Yes, he can go winery if Emerson is not Dark Age rushing him, but in this case, where he is, he can fall back on that Hippodrome. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to gather stone in this situation because he has spent the wood on a mining camp and a mill. But I think generally this is the better approach. It allows you to get those mercenaries immediately once you age up. Along with the Hippodrome, you can start doing very strong pressure.
Yeah, and the first cistern you get either way if you build 3 buildings, and so it's the kind of like the biggest jump that you get in your eco boost, and so that's the, I would say, most important one. And the other ones, they're super nice to have, but if you have to skip them for the time being for other things that you want to prioritize in that moment, I think that's not the end of the world. Msn also pulled a villager, so he is looking for a tower rush here as well. 77 wood right now, so he's a little bit short right now.
Yeah, you can see that Voldemort in particular was really. He pulled a bunch of villagers to the gourd. He fought the spearman a little bit. He did get the gold necessary, but he's not going to be able to stop this tower rush. He's already used his cistern buff, so he can't really now force his way onto the villager there and stop that. I have a feeling that this tower is probably going to get up, and Emerson is even building 2 more spearmen behind this to really force the issue. And the question I think I have now is Valdemar going to be able to get enough olive oil to be able to produce his first batch of mercenaries? And with that, he's actually pulling the villagers to stop the tower here, and he does get a cancel on that.
Yeah, you always usually get it to cancel if you're pulling that many villagers, and so it just sets it back another minute. So that is good for Valdemar, and maybe MSN actually pulled the trigger a little bit too early. He might have gotten a villager kill if he instead just went for the villagers and tried to snipe one. There's the Hippodrome that we see coming up, which obviously the horseman will not be a great response to the spearman, so Valdemar will have to find another way, and he's pulling some villagers again. One is getting dangerously close, trying to burn that tower, but 4 spearmen is something that you need to respect, obviously. so can't really stop it right now.
Yeah, I think MSN is more than committing to this tower. He's gone up to 6 spearmen now. Generally, that's probably even, I want to say, a little too much, but he's giving Voldemort the respect, and he says, I want this tower up now. I'm going to sacrifice my feudal age timing and get this tower up. And he is going to get the tower up. He is going to deny Valdemar off the berries. And Valdemar, it looks like, actually doesn't have enough Allroyal to get that first batch of mercenaries at this point, which is going to slow him down as well.
Yeah, it had been very close, and he maybe pulled the villages off just a little bit too early. The tower did take a lot of 10 more seconds to be built, but yeah, will not have enough to produce that first batch. No matter which contract he is choosing, or if he's going for neutral, as the observer is pointing out, with the Royal Knights, would it be an option as well?
Yeah, and I think if you're Valdemar here, you really have to just kind of take a few deep breaths and not panic too much. You need to get your archer range out, and you ideally want to get on these your second and third berry sources, because you're not getting your first one here. There's a tower on it. Archers aren't going to do anything against that. You want to be calm, get on your second berries, and eventually get your mercenaries up, I think.
Yeah, you kind of fall back for the time being. The MSN invested a lot into it, and as long as you don't, hastily lose villages, you're not. I guess you're not super concerned with just that one tower, and the 5 spearmen in there. They're just sitting there for the time being. It's just idle resources in a sense, and a very delayed feudal age timing. So. Valdemar is looking for the second berries, but there's also already a spearman circling around, so MSN very aware of where the resources are. There's 3 berry patches, and he started all 3 of them. But he pulled the spearman actually, so he could have prevented this mill from going up if he just stayed there with the spearman.
Yeah, but as MSN, you probably know, and he might have even seen the archer range at this point. He knows Valdemar has archers on the field. He could be maybe a little bit annoying, but we're not going to get any real damage done on this mill. In fact, Valdemar is even going to put a tower here. So he's signaling to MSN that this is a spot that he wants to keep, no matter if MSN goes for a stable, if MSN goes for more archer ranges. This is a position that Valdemar is happy to fortify at this point. And again, I like that. It helps him get more mercenaries. And at the same time, he's actually gathering stone, so he's going to start ramping up those cistern production as well. So I like the spot Valdemar is heading towards here.
Yeah, it's definitely not the worst position, with like maybe one caveat is that he's not on gold right at the moment, so he will not get his upgrades. On the other hand, MSN is getting his wheelbarrow at the moment. He obviously built a blacksmith already because the production increase in the military building, so he has also the potential to build to produce some military techs. Valdemar lost the horseman actually here in this while trying to get a villager down, but the Sipahi is something that he needs to respect for the time being.
Yeah, and he's almost losing the scout here as well, and the scout goes down. A bit unfortunate for Valdemar. You can see that he is reproducing that scout from the Hippodrome, but and Valdemar knows how important having a scout on the map is. You really can't have no vision out on the field. In fact, sometimes I would even recommend going for 2 scouts, just to give you that extra vision. However, Valdemar is reproducing that one, and he's going to go back on the map here to... And he picks off, spots MSN's units, so with that being said, he's not going to get too caught off guard here.
Yeah, I mean, vision is almost everything in this game, and I feel especially against such a versatile civilizations as the Ottomans, with the military schools and their not instant shift in military production, but they can be very versatile, and all of a sudden you have 10 Sipahi against you, and you're not prepared for that, and then you lose the game basically. So you need to know what is your opponent doing at all times. There's 6 Sipahi on field already. So the horsemen will not do too great. We have a couple of Mitanni in queue as well as a response from Valdemar. So yeah, he really needs to respect that. And
yeah, and
longbows.
Yeah, Valdemar has opted for the Western contract, so he is going longbows. And we also see him pivoting into Spearman himself. He sees the heavy supply count. MSN is up to 7 now. So he does feel that Spearman is necessary, and I feel the need to agree with him at this point. That's a lot of supply on the
Mm.
field.
Yeah, I mean, I just painfully remember every single game when I played against the Ottomans, and as long as unless I have Royal Knights in Feudal Age, like whether I have Kashik, whether I have Horsemen, I always lose hard against against the Sipahi, right? Like even with the other day I had a game with Knights Templar, it's the same thing with the Chevalier Confrere. You just lose against Sipahi if you have this similar mass, and super annoying. As the observer pointed out, MSN had not been on stone, so there's not a single. Wait, there's actually one military school, or not at all.
No, I don't think any military schools at this point.
Huh.
Yeah, so he used the 50 stone to upgrade the tower.
Mm.
And this is very all-in from MSN. We see him pretty much committing no resources to eco at this point, whereas MSN has the cisterns, he's moved out to the berries. You kind of get the feeling that, oh, we're going to see a fight here, we're going to get one villager maybe? Maybe. Oh, this is quite good for MSN actually, getting quite a bit of damage done, and there's just not enough spearmen here right now.
Yeah,
Getting one villager, maybe a second?
Yeah, that is a brutal fight here, and very well caught by MSN here. Were basically mostly longbows and archers from Valdemar, and so he got 2 villager kills, and then a couple longbows and archers. So a really good find here for him. Tower needs to be cancelled, so Valdemar cannot move out to the berries at this point. He knows that if he walks that far out of his base, those villagers are not for long in this world. At the same time, Valdemar is circling around the base. He's trying to find some damage. Doesn't have Exploratores research yet, so he's just doing the regular damage on the villagers. A good connect here could actually find one if he hard commits to that. Needs to run here, losing 1 horseman, potentially a second one actually.
Yeah, getting 1 villager is nice, and that does even the count a little bit more. He's down 1, but not too tragic, especially with the systems. But he has to defend here. He seems to be quite noticeably behind a little bit in army value, and he's not even able to get on this third berries here, second, because he doesn't have his first berries.
Yeah, so that is a tough situation to be in, and MSN, because he didn't invest into the military schools, which, it is a big initial investment, and then over time they obviously pay off. That's why MSN is currently ahead in military numbers and value. So that is pretty strong right now, and Valdemar is kind of stuck in his base a little bit actually.
Yeah, definitely. Valdemar is very stuck in the space, and you can see that MSN has just picked off 1 horseman, 2 horsemen, and a scout, and 2 more villager. Oh, 1 more villager, 1 more villager. It looks like. So he's just getting a few picks here and there, and those picks start to add up over the time of the game. Another thing to note that the observer noted out is Valdemar has, I think, maybe 32 triumph points at this point, but 1 horseman on the field, so he's not utilizing that landmark at all.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I mean, clearly that was not his game plan. He had a couple more horsemen, but he lost most of them while he was raiding or when he was running into the Sipahi phase first. And so, if the game goes a lot longer, with the cataphracts, if you're going into the castle age, then the triumph would be really strong potentially. But for the time being, it doesn't really give him a lot actually, which is unfortunate. He is getting textiles, so he wants to have some more beefy villagers at least.
Yeah, and I mean Valdemar has his basic upgrades. He has his steel arrow, he has his iron undermesh, but so does MSN. And honestly, I'm very worried for Valdemar at this point. He's stacking gold, not something he can use immediately at this point. He's getting a few nice picks on the spearmen here, but I just don't see him being able to push out at any point, and he really needs to get on his berries.
Yeah, the berries they would really help him to get back into the game a little bit better, and the heavy infantry comp that he's running with the slow longbows and then the archer limitani comp really further puts him into his base. We saw earlier when he on the berries, there's a couple limitani just chilling there because they need to be there in case the Sipahi got run in, and so he doesn't have his army with him, and MSN can just circle around his base, and whenever he feels he's ready, he can strike, and that puts MSN in a better position, and that shows that even if the stats are kind of comparable sometimes, the Cav is just such a strong point in this game.
Yeah, exactly. And we can see how valuable the tower is in this situation. It keeps Valdemar essentially on the right side of the map. In fact, Valdemar pretty much has no presence on the other side. And even on this side, he's struggling to defend. He has to keep up with the cav, and he's just not doing it at this point. He's gonna defend this wave, but you know, he's still losing a unit here or there, and it's just not. He's not doing anything on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I think army-wise, it's also difficult for him because he's facing a mass Sipahi archer comp, and he does have the Limitani in theory to deal with the Sipahi, but he doesn't have the horsemen to deal with the archers, and so that is really tough. Mehmed Imperial Army coming up, so MSN in the meantime was able to save up enough to go into the castle age. 14 villagers, so he wants to have 16 right now. He wants to have it rather quickly, while he's also doing another great raid here, just going toe-to-toe with the Limitani. He doesn't really care at this point. It is just crazy. He's just dealing with the Limitani that way, just throwing away a bunch of Sipahi, but dealing, or, you know, lowering the amount of Limitani and just getting, not letting Valdemar to get any critical mass with any point of his army.
Yeah, that is a bit surprising. He gets a few spearmen, but not an amazing fight either way. But he is up to Castle Age now, and I'm curious at how many military schools he has, because he went for the additional military school as a second visor point. So he is up to 3 military schools now, so that's a healthy military school count, and that is going to help him with his eco quite a bit. So at the same time, though, Valdemar is aging with the Golden Horn Tower, and to be honest, I think Emerson didn't miss his opportunity, but I'm now much more confident in Valdemar's position. He has a healthy farm economy. He's down a few villages, but he's going to go with the Golden Horn Tower at 5 cisterns. And yeah, he could even make cataphracts. He has a lot of options at this point, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, if we want to compare the Golden Horn Tower with the Mehmed Imperial Armory, resource-wise, if you have 5 cisterns, the Golden Horn Tower is better, it's producing more per minute. And so that is not the worst position to be in. So MSN, maybe he could have doubled down a little bit more, because it did look a lot like he's going to play feudal all in, but then he kind of stepped off a little bit and was content to just raid a little bit here and there. And maybe that gave Valdemar the opportunity to get back into this game, which I would love personally. You know, like, I love close games, and so all the more power to Valdemar getting back into this game, and with the Byzantines as well, which is a civilization that I really enjoy playing. So, you know, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Me too, actually. Byzantines is a great civ. And you have to be careful with the Byzantines. Giving them just a bit of space, just a bit of room to get their farms up, is not something you really want to be doing. They're almost like English, in a way, where those farms, just on 1 TC, you can be down villagers. You can make quite a bit of units, actually, and we'll see if Valdemar gets that opportunity, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him pushing across the map in a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, he stabilized a little bit. He's putting up walls now, so he is getting his eco up. He doesn't have the Grand Winery, but he has a healthy amount of olive groves at this point. And with the 5 cisterns, that's a lot of extra gathering speed. And so that actually, you know, as I said, he can be down in numbers, which he is in terms of villages, but with that buff, you know, that's still very, very healthy. Also grabbing relics as we see, so that's gonna be nice and help him with his gold income. And I don't know, maybe we'll see cataphracts into the Triumph, because the Triumph had not been really used here, and yeah, so seeing that, so 2 cataphracts here, 1 more in queue. That could be his way to come back here, because cataphracts, they're super strong and they're really difficult to deal with. MSN doesn't have a lot of spearmen at the time, and also cataphracts really good to get on top of the siege actually with their charge ability.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking about. MSN already has 1 Mega now on the field. He's building producing a second one from his landmark. And cataphracts are great to get on top of those. In the meantime, MSN is losing a few supply trying to raid Valdemar's base, but you can see here that Valdemar is playing extremely defensive. And he has a good reason to play defensive. He has quite a strong farm economy. And to be honest, if I was MSN, I'd probably be trying to push at this point, because those farms are going to start to really kick in soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily going to be get any easier for him the longer the game goes. And Valdemar, I think that's one of the points where you can see the class of these players. He didn't lose his head, he didn't lose his cool, and he made the best out of his defensive position. He was pushed into a very defensive situation, and it didn't look great 10 minutes ago, but he made the best out of it, and now I think it's looking in a very, very good position. Very stable, putting up a wall on the right side as well, so just looking to not get raided to death here. And his army looking fine as well. He's still behind, but it's yeah, the longer the game goes, I think the better it will be for him.
Yeah, and just as you say that though, MSN is now pressing the issue, and this is kind of the fight. Will MSN be able to do significant damage here? He has the option for a bombard, and to be honest, I would either go bombard or Janissary Company here. You have that military advantage. You see that Valdemar has prepared for the late game. I think you need to take this opportunity now to do damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I would go for the Janner series in this situation, just because there's no keep or any ability that you need to get down quickly. And also because if you want to respect the cataphracts, then having the bombard could be risky. But there it is, the great bombard, the Castle Age bombard with the Vizier point coming up. So yeah, MSN does have the military advantage still, and if he pushes now and he has the better comp potentially, then he could still handily win the game. In terms of relics, he is actually picking up the second one. Valdemar did get a sacred site, so that is pretty even in terms of passive gold income here.
Yeah, and so MSN kind of struggling to get into Valdemar's base here, and I think that's mostly why he did go for the bombard option. So I guess he's just going to be doing a slow siege push into his base. He hasn't really found any resources in particular to kind of focus on, so we're going to be pushing the TC directly. And he does have the option for that because he does have the bombard, but we see a nice Mega Nail shot, and Valdemar doesn't really look like he has the units here to actually fight this army.
No, he doesn't.
Oh. So he has a few units in the back here, but still not enough, maybe. I'm not sure.
No, and so I just took a look at the unit composition here from MSN, and he had 45, close to 50 crossbows, so even if Valdemar switches into Varangian guards and cataphracts, which he doesn't have the resources right now, he doesn't have the mass here, 4 cataphracts in queue, but that will be 5 in total. Crossbows will just shred them to death in a very short amount of time, potentially even way before they can get down the siege. 2 mangonels right now, another one getting produced, and the Great Bombard doing what it does best, getting rid of the buildings here. Cistern is under siege here, down to level 3 because the aqueducts had been disconnected, and there it also goes. So this is looking very grim for Valdemar at the moment.
Yeah, where are the cataphracts? Where is Valdemar's army at this point? The Mangonels did amazing work pulling the war moment. The Limitani really did nothing in that choke point. I'm almost at the point where should Valdemar tap out? MSN is on top of his Golden Horn economy. If Valdemar doesn't get a solution fast here, he has his towers, he has a few units trickling in, but he needs something more at this point.
Yeah, but I don't see it within. If you look at the income, his olive groves are idled out now as well, so the olive production will drop drastically. I don't see that he has the numbers right now. He doesn't have the income, and I don't think that he can keep it up for long. And MSN now being fully online with the military schools, buffed with the blacksmith. I don't see there's any coming back here. One by one, the cataphracts get picked off by the crossbow, so you see they can't even get to the siege at this point. Losing more and more villagers. By the way, we're down to 20 villager, or up to 20 villager kills almost from MSN here. So no matter how good the Byzantine eco is, if you're down 20 villagers and you're not on level 5 cisterns, that's a rough life.
Yeah, and I can't help but think that maybe maybe Valdemar even boomed a little bit too much in this position. We have what looks like almost 40 farms, maybe a few have died at this point, and I would be very hesitant to say MSN has more than 10 farms, especially on an Ottoman economy. Yeah, and he taps out there. GG gets called, MSN takes that win with the Ottomans.
Very strong performance here in this first game of the series. MSN taking a very, very strong fight here against the Byzantines with some good Dark Age aggression, a little bit of a tower rush, the classics that you love, and then clapping back at a later stage in Castle Age.
Yeah, and you can see the statistics here. Yeah.
Military value is crazy.
Yeah, and eco killed, military value. You can just see that MSN knew what he was doing. He took the early advantage, and he kind of just rode that throughout the entire game. He didn't really... He allowed Valdemar to get his economy back, but as soon as that started kicking in, MSN went for the kill, and it worked.
Yeah, and I mean, both civs, they sometimes take a little bit to set their eco up and their military up, but MSN with the delay at the start, with the complete shutdown with the olive oil, was able to delay Valdemar so much that he had a later Castle Age timing than the Ottomans did, and then was just not able to keep up with the Ottoman military production, just printing out units non-stop. And then I think also the composition also was an issue because it leaned too heavily into the Limitani, and then didn't really have a response in any significant way to the crossbow mass and to the siege that came in inevitably by the Ottomans. That's what you have to expect at some point.
Yeah, and this fight in particular that's being shown on screen was quite a decisive fight, actually. Valdemar tries to extend to these berries over here, gets caught out, and loses 2 villages here, quite a bit of archers in Wombo as well, and doesn't actually secure his berries, so very poor fight, poor situation for Valdemar right there.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, I could even imagine that was the beginning of the end for him. Because, he did lose a lot of military there, he did lose a little bit of villagers, and he lost that position with the berries, and so he had to retransition to some other position there. And I think that just set him back further than, and made it even easier for MSN to then take the lead and the victory at the later stage.
Yeah, and you can see this fight in particular was very strong from MSN. He actually had a very strong choke point right between Valdemar's production here, actually. The mangoes were untouched throughout the entire fight. The Valdemar's melee units couldn't really get through those choke points, and the bombard as well, it's just started hitting that Golden Horn Tower, so MSN getting amazing fight towards the end here to
that
wrap it up.
Yeah, that was a complete destruction here. And I mean, camping the military production, that's always rough, if you can't even get reinforcements out there safely, it's really tough to get back there. And Byzantines sometimes struggle because they don't build as many production buildings usually as other civilizations do, because they have the cistern bonus. And then the few that you have get shut down. That's really rough. So there's nothing to come back here for Valdemar. So had to tap out at this point. Next match is House of Lancaster against, as you said earlier, by the way, Order of the Dragon on Prairie. So exactly what you said earlier, we saw Order of the Dragon earlier in the tournament, or in the qualifiers. We see it today, now as well, against House of Lancaster. On a map
So
that has to have a lot of wood, actually. That's the one thing I'm thinking about right now.
actually, I think this is an interesting approach from both of the players. We're getting into the game in 30 seconds here, but I kind of want to highlight where I think the game's heading towards. So I saw Valdemar go versus Magic. He went for a 2TC OTD build. If I had to guess, probably what we're going to see again. And on MSN side, we have House of Lancaster. Obviously, a very sheep-heavy map. House of Lancaster gathers sheep faster, and he has the manos for that addition of wood income. So, good options for him there.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And I'm really excited to see what both players are bringing to us here. So MSN in blue again, playing the House of Lancaster on the eastern side of the map against Valdemar in his signature color yellow, playing Order of the Dragon on the northern side on Prairie. So again, as I said, a very wood scarce map, but as you pointed out, House of Lancaster with the manners not having that much of an issue with that compared to, for example, English, which doesn't really like to play on Prairie as much.
Yeah, interesting. We can see that OTD is starting out with a second scout here. That could just be for the additional sheep for the Aachen boost, or it could be a denial of the House of Lancaster sheep. As I mentioned, obviously House of Lancaster has the additional income from sheep, so not wanting your opponent to get buffed income is also a really strong way to deny that with this double scout. Actually, I think MSN might not be getting that much sheep in particular. He is just behind Valdemar's second scout here, so it could be a big detriment to him in the early game.
Yeah, that really can be an issue if you don't find enough sheep. I mean, MSN or Lancaster is starting with more sheep than other civs, but still, finding those sheep is critical. Would you expect? Would you expect Order of the Dragon to go for pro scouts? Actually, I mean, since we're seeing two scouts, or do you think that is purely to deny the sheep from MSN?
It's a good question. I think if I had to guess, I would say it would be to purely be to deny the sheep. It is an option. However, I do think Valdemar is probably going to opt for that 2TC build that I suggested earlier. It's more of a safe pick. I think it's pretty good against House of Lancaster in particular. And, I mean, he already has experience with it in this tournament, and it worked. If I was him, I would be heading towards that. And we're going to see here in a second whether he pulls the villagers off of gold and heads them towards wood or stone. And actually where he builds his landmark as well. I'm curious what Valdemar does here.
Yeah, we're gonna see in just a second. There's the Aachen Chapel coming up. Interesting to... I don't know, I kind of expected a Minework Palace, to be honest here, but the Aachen Chapel, especially with the big gold vein here, could be very, very strong. And then maybe, I mean, it's very close to the town center, but maybe he'll go for some early farms even, just to match the kind of turtley defensive style from House of Lancaster. Because especially with the Lancaster Castle, it's sometimes really difficult to, really get under there and find some damage.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was just gonna say, I think within this map in particular, having the Aachen is really good for the sheep count. Valdemar obviously went double scout, so he's gonna have quite a bit of sheep here, and having that big gold as well is gonna be really good to buff up those sheep and those gathering.
Yeah, I mean, he found easily 15 sheep, I think, so that's a lot of extra food here. And with the Order of the Dragon Aachen Chapel, you don't need to have a prelate in there, so you get that bonus, quote unquote, for free. So that is a really good option. I do like the Aachen Chapel. It's just that the Minework Palace can also be very interesting to see, but maybe not against House of Lancaster. And Valdemar is also on stone, so that could indicate the 2TC play that you mentioned. Meanwhile, MSN going up to the feudal age, immediately starting with the first manor. So yeah, just a very, very on-point build order, as you would expect from players of that caliber.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of want to see what MSN does here. He's going for the manos, but what's the move after this? Is he going to go 3 manos? Is he going to go 6 manos? Is he going to try to do some aggression? To be honest, I think OTD second TC is not the strongest build ever. It's not weak by any means, but it's one of those builds where it can be really strong if your opponent doesn't really know how to find damage against you. And I'm curious to see what's MSN's approach against that in particular, because at this point, he knows that Valdemar should be going second TC.
Yeah, I mean, he scouted the stone, so he knows about the villagers. There's the second TC right underneath the gold, actually. So Valdemar going pretty good timing, I would say, for the second TC. So MSN will scout that very shortly. I would not expect 9 manors at this point. 6 probably, I would guess. My guess would be 6 manors into Castle Age. That would be my guess there.
I mean, to be honest, House of Lancaster is one of the civs that I've been struggling with in particular to make or refine a really strong build order. We could see 6 manos, we could see 3, we could see I don't think we're gonna see 9, but you know, maybe he has something that he's been trying out. You know, you never really know. It does look like at this point, MSN has pulled off of the oh wow, MSN has pulled off of the stone. He's actually going for the muster of nobles on 3 manos. That's a bit interesting to me, actually. You know, you're only gonna get about 5 demi-lancers, I think, right?
Yeah, it's 2 and then 1 for each manor, so that's gonna be 5. And then, you know, if you're like trying to be to get as much value out of it as possible, you would only use it with the 9 manors, but at the same time, timing is a big factor in Age of Empires. So the sooner you have it, the more it also can pay off. So with 5 Demi-Lancers, you can actually destroy a lot and do a lot of harassment here on the map. So those 5 Demi-Lancers are out on the field now, and they're in the middle of the map already. So moving towards Valdemar's base very, very fast. And Emerson has a scout there, so he knows exactly what is happening there. There's no production, actually. So Valdemar is, with the exception of the 2 town centers, he doesn't have any defenses right now.
Yeah, and I almost want to see MSN go for a tower rush with these 5 demi-lancers. It would be a bit cheeky, but you can see here that Valdemar has no production, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't have any production, and then again with like no clear wood lines close to your town center, if you can shut down wood production, which Valdemar has 50 wood, he doesn't have any wood income, that can be really devastating and in a very, very quick end to that game if he manages to do that. Valdemar is very close to Castle Age. There's a Burgrave Palace, so there we have the production building. But yeah.
Yeah, the Bowgrave is now coming up. Not too much of a surprise with the 2TC OTD, right? You kind of not really trying to get the relics in this situation. You're just trying to get a good landmark with a lot of value per minute. And at the same time, we're not really seeing these Demi-Lancers do anything. So, yeah, they're not that expensive, but you're kind of not getting any value whatsoever, except for like a few idle time, and even then, they're taking quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're only feudal age demi-lancers in a sense, and so they do get hurt a lot by a town center with 15 villages garrison. So a little bit of idle time, but not really. Like maybe 1 or 2 connects here with the villagers, not really able to connect in a meaningful way. Valdemar reaching Castle Age, and yeah, as I said, he now has a production building, so he will not die from 5 Demi-Lancers. We're not going to see this today. And White Tower on the other side coming out as well. On the berries with the deer, also protecting the secondary gold. So a good defensive position here for MSN. So definitely setting up for a little bit of a longer game. Not opting for the unique King of College of the, how is it called? Why is it? The King's College. King's College Technologies. There it is.
Yeah, and Emerson is actually going for proxy Barax, so he's going to go for proxy Osgard, and this is a little bit stronger than your normal Men-at-Arms. They do have that throw ability, but it's the timing is just not there, I think. Usually when you want to be doing these timings, you want to be hitting it a little bit before your opponent goes Castle Age. And if Valdemar actually scouts this, which I'm not sure he has, he would have some expos out, but we actually see no expos from Valdemar yet. Yeah, so he actually has no idea about this proxy, and he's just seeing it now.
Yeah, and so he went for was Spearman and Man-at-Arms for now. Is going for a Siege Workshop.
Yeah, that's a bit surprising.
Well, I mean, if he's okay, that's the archer range. I was gonna say like you could see like the Springles, maybe like mass Springles, but then you also have the Demi-Lancers, which can flank Valdemar's slower units and get on top of the siege. So that would be very risky. Not to mention that you don't have a lot of wood to work with. So Archer's definitely the better option. Crossbow is in queue already. So yeah, Man-at-Arm crossbow. I think that's the comp that we're gonna see, and totally fine against the Earl's Guard. Question is MSN is going to switch it up now if he sees that comp coming out.
Yeah, I'm not sure to be honest. Especially when you get to a healthy expo mass, especially as OTD, they have the better range. So I don't see these Oro Gods past like 5 expos on OTD side doing a significant amount of damage besides the throw. And the throw does do a little bit, but you have to retreat immediately once you use that. And I would expect probably maybe expo transition from MSN here, maybe going into the horseman option. I forget what they're called. What's the Lancaster?
Oh, the Fielded Horseman, yeah. No, sorry, never mind. The Hobblers.
Hobblers, yes.
The Hobblers, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I would expect the Hobblers. I mean, they do cost gold, so they're a little bit more, gold heavy instead of wood. But at the same time, MSN does have the gold income, since he's very, well, no, not heavily on gold, but like he is on gold, and so he could afford them. And I would love to see them. They're very, very strong, and they would make quick work of the crossbows, and then also, try to disrupt Valdemar's plan here. Valdemar, by the way, as pointed out, is housed right now, so will not be able to put out some more units at the time being. We have a little bit of a clash here, and the Earthguard going toe-to-toe with the Spearman and the Man-at-Arms. Not finding any more villager kills. He was able to snipe one earlier, but needs to retreat for the time being, and that tower is not gonna go up. Actually, I mean, he might be able to hold that position.
Yeah, it's very close, and the OTD Expos are doing such a good amount of damage. Even these Men-at-Arms in the front, MSN's pretty much killing no units at this point besides the throw mechanic, and yeah, I don't see him being able to stay around here for too long.
No, that is so unfortunate. I mean, he is gonna lose the proxy military in the front, and the crossbows, as you mentioned, like with the longer range and obviously countering the heavy armored units, and him not countering the Men-at-Arms at all right now. That is really tough. So yeah, making a switch into Hobola crossbows will really be strong, but he kind of doubled down on the barracks here. I don't know if he has any more production than that, but if he cannot fight back the position, he will actually lose the proxy here. He's building 3 stables right now in the back, but that might be too little too late, and he still doesn't have a response to the Man-at-Arms. I think that's the main issue right now in terms of, the bulky front line from the Order of the Dragon units.
Yeah, definitely. So he is going for the Hobble option, but as you mentioned, doesn't actually have any counter to the Men-at-Arms currently. It does have the dagger throws, but as soon as the hobos start coming out, we're probably going to see Valdemar go for a few spearmen, and at the same time, these expos are still going to be here, kind of trickling away at these. Look at how much damage they're doing. So much damage
That's
against
crazy,
these
yeah.
Roosevelt.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, yeah, if you can get to throw out, then yes, you also snipe a unit each time, but the crossbow's really strong. And to be honest, if you're Valdemar and you're forced to make man-at-arms spearmen because your opponent's composition, you're totally fine with that because you have the Burgrave. And you're actually saving resources each time you produce those units. So I'd be happy in Valdemar's position. That is looking really strong for him. Even like his army value is way higher than MSN's right now. He's way ahead in villagers, which, you know, if you think about it, that is even more crazy because it's the gilded villagers, so they're even better than regular villagers. So, good position here for Valdemar. Fighting back here, getting control of the middle here, getting rid of the proxy barracks. That's, you know, another 450 resources destroyed. Pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to remember that Valdemar is on the second TC behind this, and he's playing OTD, so he has more villagers than MSN, and they're OTD villagers. On the other side, MSN only has 3 manos. He has 0 relics. We're actually 15 minutes into this game, and not a single relic has been picked up on the map. It makes a little bit more sense if you're Valdemar with that second TC, but if you're MSN, you're kind of scratching your head here and saying, where do we go from here on out? What's our what are we supposed to do? Even this army in front of us, might be a little bit difficult to actually kill.
Yeah, I think he miscalculated the situation. A lot of Hobolas trying to flank now, and if they can connect to the crossbows, that is potentially the end of Valdemar's army here. So MSN might have found his opportunity here, but the crossbow's still doing a lot of damage to the Earth Guards here. A good surround here, a little bit tricky with the woodline and the stone to really get on top by completely cleaning this part of Valdemar's army.
Wow. Yeah, I regret my choice of words earlier. That army was very easy to kill, actually. But
which it was surprising, but the Hobolas were the main reason, because with the slow-moving Earth Guards, there would not have been that chance to actually do that.
Yeah, and you can see that Valdemar is reacting with the Spearman now, so he understands what's happening. And as long as he doesn't take too much damage, I still would feel confident in his position. Just as I'm saying that, though, the Hobos are choosing to dive deep here and try to press the issue, get some more damage done.
I mean, they have a lot of range armor, so they can actually tank the tower, and there's a couple gilded spearmen here, but it's mainly men-at-arms and crossbows, so if you can get on top of them, you can wiggle them down very, very fast. But it looks like there's a couple of villagers even with their shivs out, which also do more damage since it's the gilded spearmen. I do wonder what they had for breakfast. You know, that's
something good.
Something good, yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, the Hobolan numbers going down. There's as well as the Demi-Lancer here. Very costly engagement. At the same time, MSN was able to kill 14 villagers, so that definitely was a setback. I don't know if that is an automatic win of the game for MSN, but that definitely was a good setback for Valdemar.
Yeah, it was a good setback, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to look at the villager count, you have to look at the army count, and you kind of have to ask yourself, was that enough? And to me, I'm not convinced it was. Yes, we see Valdemar struggling for food here, but he has the army value to secure that boar that he was trying to take earlier. You can see the berries. He actually cancels the towers here. He says, look, I don't even need this. Maybe I put this on the berries, maybe I don't even remake them, but I'm feeling confident in my defense. I'm getting relics, actually, before MSN is. And if I was Valdemar here, I wouldn't even push out. I'd just be content with defending at this point.
Yeah, I totally think that this was not enough damage. It was nice, but it wasn't enough. And so as Valdemar, you kind of stabilize now, and Wood income is where it should be, so you can add the farms now. You can set them around your Aachen chapel if you want to. You have all the food on the map still, as you pointed out, with the boar, with the berries. There's even a couple more deer packs to be had. And so yeah, you can just ball in, and as long as you don't lose 20 more villagers against the Hobler raids, you're still fine.
And you can see here Valdemar trying to sneak that relic, but MSN is, doing a good job keeping his units on the relic, making sure you're not going to get any sneaky relics on this side of the map.
Yeah, but those are some sneaky prelates. He's really trying to get to these relics, and I mean he's almost succeeding at the same time. And MSN is just having a couple Hobolas raiding around. The main army is moving towards Valdemar's base now, so we're gonna see a big engagement pretty soon. Farms being added here by Valdemar, so if he can hold it for a couple of minutes, he's definitely looking good. But MSN doesn't want to let him get to that point.
Yeah, and MSN is doing a great job of just harassing, getting a few picks here and there. He probably recognizes that he needs to get some damage done, and he's doing his absolute best in, just kind of trying to out-multitask Valdemar, trying to really... I mean, he doesn't have a lot of options left, so just kind of outplaying your opponent is often the best way to win the game.
Yeah, especially on such a high level, that definitely is... for some players, that's the breaking point. How much multitasking can I put on my opponent? And we've seen it the last game as well, where MSN was playing the Ottomans and was doing some really good Sipahi raids as well. So that is definitely something where he is good at, where he feels confident at, and where he can find the damage. There's been 2 more villager kills in the meantime, so slowly, here and there, getting some damage done, some disruptions, while not losing too much. He is pretty depleted in terms of resources, but he does have the bigger army, so he could move and strike pretty soon here.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised how much Valdemar is struggling to actually make units. MSN's army value is still larger than Valdemar's, despite, as I mentioned, the stronger economy, more villagers, even as farms, all around the place, but presumably near the Aachen as well. But as I mentioned, despite that, I could still see MSN taking a really good fight and taking this game. And we'll have to watch for the next one. But he has quite a big army on the field at this point.
Yeah, I mean he also has more military techs. Valdemar is researching some right now, but MSN already has most of the ones that he wants to have right now. And so that also helps in the fights. And the Hobola mass is looking healthy. 43 Hobolas against 14, by the way, feudal age gilded spearmen. So they would love to be a veteran by now.
Oh my God, that's brutal! I didn't even see that. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
So yeah,
really
if he claps on that,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously that would be a pretty big mistake by Valdemar, but MSN could, take advantage of just an oversight, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely looks more like an oversight than anything else, and MSN does have 21 yeomen at the moment, also 19 crossbows, and so that's a lot of range as well to deal with the men-at-arms and with the spearmen, and then there's only 10 crossbows, which he doesn't have any armored units. MSN doesn't have any armored units, so he doesn't really mind that much about the gilded crossbow, and can just run them down with the Hobolas. Also, while we have this engagement, getting the prelate from taking the relic here to the dragon base.
Yeah, exactly. He almost got away with that, but didn't in the end.
Almost is the keyword.
And MSN is taking back the relic now. He's not gonna let him get away with that. That's for sure.
No, we have a trebuchet here out there, but the Hobolas are not in this fight here. They're just flanking from the side now, but MSN can hold that position, and he has the trebuchet. Yes, we do have the emergency repairs, but they're not there forever, and you can just switch to other buildings and whatever else. So, and not to mention, MSN is looking at 4 relics. He has 3, and 1 more is being carried home right now. That is very good. He also has the map control at the moment, so he could even look for the sacred sites. And just, solidify this position here. 3 trebuchets, that is a lot of siege, and should be enough to get down these towers. And once they're falling, I don't know if Valdemar has enough in his base. I mean, the numbers are deceiving because it's all of the dragon units, so they're a lot stronger, but MSN has a lot of army as well, so...
Yeah, definitely, and what I'm not a huge fan of is Valdemar's composition. We see 16 expos at this point for Valdemar, and what are they really countering on the MSN side of the map? They don't really counter hobos. They do okay versus the expos and okay versus the yeoman, but outside of that, we don't see knights from MSN, we don't see men-at-arms, so I'm not convinced by this expo mass. I like that he's transitioning to horsemen here, but 4 horsemen is not really enough at this point. And he is maxed pop, actually, so both of them are maxed pop. And MSN has the larger army, because he has fewer villagers, right? So, if MSN can take a really nice fight here, take advantage of... I'm not sure if Valdemar still has those Feudal Age Spearmen, but...
Feudal Age Spearmen, oh my. Yeah,
this could be a bad fight.
Yeah, that could potentially be a very bad fight here for Valdemar. Just trying to get some Springles up here, but the towers will be destroyed even before that happens. And yeah, I think he leaned too heavily into the crossbows. There's a good synchronized shot here, but yeah, Valdemar moving out there and so not really hitting anything. And I think it kind of happened last game as well with the Limitani, that he leaned too heavily into them, and then he didn't really have a response from the Archer mass. And so at the end he lost against the composition. And I think MSN doing a lot better job to switching with the composition. He was doing a lot of Earth Guard earlier, but then he switched into the Hobola crossbow mass, and Valdemar didn't really get that memo, I think.
Yeah,
and we have Mangonel as well.
Yeah, and the Spearmen are doing quite a good job of tanking MSN's range damage, and actually the fight is a lot closer than I anticipated. And Valdemar's Spearmen, Men-at-Arms did quite a good job of actually tanking that bio initially, and MSN has no hobos left. They kind of all ran into those Spearmen and kind of got evaporated.
Yeah, I think they were not respecting the Spearmen enough, because especially with the Gilded Spearmen, even though they were the only feudal age, they do a lot of extra damage, even more than regular Spearmen against the Hobolas, and so we're able to get them to kill them very effectively. And so MSN is left with mostly his crossbow mass, which at this point is not really countering anything here except for the handful of men-at-arms that Valdemar has. So MSN getting pushed back completely into his base underneath the Lancaster castle. That is not something that I expected. Losing all of his siege as well.
Yeah, and this is heavily tilting in the favor of Valdemar at this point. MSN just has a few expos. He's building more expos again. Yes, there's, 5 men-at-arms or so, but we need something to counter Valdemar's expos. We need something to counter his horsemen at this point. The Gilded Horsemen are a massive issue for MSN at this point, and I just don't see it with this expo mass that MSN is actually continuing to produce, actually.
Yeah, I'm not... Against this kind of composition, I'm not really a big fan of the crossbows. I don't know if they achieve what you would love them to achieve. MSN in the meantime did go up to 6 manners. And he does have the technology for going for all 9, but at the time being, only has 6 manners. Horseman in the back, finding some good villager kills, evening out, or on the way to evening out the villager kill number here. 9 villager kills so far against 18. So yeah, the 2 town center play by Valdemar was not punished, and I don't know if MSN can can hold this for long, actually.
Yeah, he's half the army value of Valdemar. He's actually got half the population as well, half the food income. It's gonna be a tough road to recovery here for MSN, and I'm not sure if he's at the point where he's kind of got a game plan of how to recover from this, or he just wants to take another big fight here and try to win that. But he's under pressure from all sides here.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if we'll see a big fight here, because he struggles to go back up to the numbers. Valdemar is still maxed out here, so he will just collect resources more and more. 3,500 food per minute at the moment, so if he switches a little bit onto gold, he bought some gold now, so he can easily go up to Imperial Age now, and MSN is at 120 pop right now, so way below right now, and way behind in terms of age up as well. Elsbach Palace getting constructed I believe in the front of his base, close to the stone there.
I'm not sure if Valdemar is just trying to play the really safe game here, or I guess he's just opting for that imp age. He's gonna get his imp upgrades and then he's gonna push. He doesn't really need to push now. He might as well just wait for the upgrade advantage, and that's probably what we're gonna see for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, in general, you most of the time you don't want to fight while you're aging up and risk losing your army there. The big gold had been depleted, so gold might be a struggle. But with the Elsbach Palace, I'm actually wondering if we're gonna see Black Riders on the field.
I think they're pretty good, actually. I'd love to see them. Oh, right. OTD
never mind. Yeah, well, there's that. That's true. Yeah, they are very good, but they're not in all of the Dragon's arsenal. That is true.
That'd be nice, though. Gilded.
Oh, no. Don't put that in Dev's ear. We do not need gilded Black Knights.
That'd be cool, though.
Yeah, but then they have like 700 health and 56 damage or whatever. No, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, maybe not. They'd be pretty strong. And actually, we're going to see MSN aging behind this on 132 population. I mean, if he can get it out, if he can get the upgrades, if he can survive, that's good. But honestly, from Valdemar's position, I'd like to see him immediately push across the map when he sees that. We're going to have to see, but I think he has a real good opportunity of doing significantly damaging MSN or killing him at this stage.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's getting his elite upgrades right now, while MSN is still getting his Imperial Age landmark with the Wingard Palace. And so yeah, if he once he sees the upgrade, the age up, and he pushes in, he could potentially kill MSN before he really capitalizes on his Imperial upgrades. But yeah, who knows? At the same time, Wingard Palace is really good at printing cheap units, so that definitely could help MSN with getting some cheap army here. Yeah, with the garrison there.
Yeah, and Valdemar is stonewalling his south side there. We didn't really catch that much, but I saw him stonewalling the south side. Yeah, and I'm screaming at Valdemar. Just attack, man! Just attack him!
Yeah, I mean, I like that he respects MSN, but at the same time, I don't think you need to respect him that much. He does have the bigger army still, and again, he does have Imperial Age, so he could find some good damage, even though House of Lancaster has some good defensive landmarks with the White Tower and the Lancaster Castle. It doesn't have the Berkshire Palace, at least, so if you flank from the right side, where all the farms are, you can actually kill most of MSN's eco, I would say.
Yeah, and we're seeing more stone walls, we're seeing more defenses. You can see on Valdemar's side of the screen, he's actually getting so many upgrades. He's getting Bumbo Towers, he's getting the Castle Age food upgrade, he's getting his blacksmith upgrades, he's getting his Imp Age gold upgrades, so he's kind of almost like ready to go longo in this game, like for quite a bit here, actually.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it, and he also is going for all the sacred side. The one on the northern right side is kind of getting denied because there's two monks standing there. But yeah, definitely looking for some passive gold income and potentially even a sacred side victory. So yeah, looking for a longer game here instead of pushing in. So both players respecting each other, pretty much.
Yeah, and Valdemar actually has 124 OTD villagers, so that is an extremely healthy count for OTD, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does mean he's gonna have fewer army, but he's gonna have quite the income here.
Yeah, I mean he does have fewer army, but yeah, if he has the eco, and look at his resources he has in his bank, he can produce so many units, and so he can just replace them very, very quickly, and so it doesn't hurt him as much. Whereas if we're comparing that to MSN, he just gets by right now with his food income. So yeah, I would love to see Valdemar pushing out now. I think he is more or less at the point where he should feel confident. Also getting the Imperial Age food upgrade as well. So yeah, setting up for the long game. What can I say?
No, exactly, and there's a very common strategy in LTS games and games in general where you kind of snowball your advantage to win the game, and Voldemort is trying to do that, but at a very, very slow kind of pace.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense generally, but in this kind of situation, in this kind of game, it's not really necessary, I want to say. So he's doing something that's very normal, very strategy focused, but it's just a little bit too passive, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, he maybe has in mind that he's 1 point behind, so if he loses this, he only needs to lose one more, and then he's out for the time being. But in the meantime, we have a big engagement here. MSN is trying to shut this castle down while the keep is getting built up here. The crossbows under siege here from the cavalry, trying to kite back here, and Valdemar doesn't really have... Where's his army at this point? And I know it's kind of slow moving, but at the same time, I don't know. Where's his army? Castle is getting cancelled even.
Yeah, I don't know. It's good that he has all these walls, all these stone walls up, because he's needing them at this point, but I don't know where his army is either. We can see that MSN has a really big army, but that's kinda about it, you know? He doesn't have the food bank, he doesn't have that income, he doesn't even have the population maxed out. Voldemort does have that space to kind of take an extremely bad fight and still continue on, but you know, a few more of those and we might see MSN coming back into this game, or maybe even being favored.
I mean, Valdemar has a way better eco still. I mean, 3,000 food per minute, 2,500, 2,000 gold per minute, so he can keep going for a while. But that was a bad fight, and he lost his forward position here with the keep. That's not what you want to do with the gold as well, so that would have been important for him to continue the late game here. I don't know, it's pretty rough. At the same, maybe MSN is now a little bit out of position with the siege here, and a lot of crossbows, gilded horsemen trying to get on top of the crossbows. Hand cannoneers even, gilded hand cannoneers. What a sight to behold.
Yeah, the gilded hand cannoneers are so strong, and Voldemort can afford them, right? So I love to see that option, especially since he has a massive amount of villagers. Having that high, expensive army is a way to equalize in these fights, and he's actually doing quite a good job of taking a pretty good fight here.
Yeah, I mean, his range almost untouched here. The Balderquin was shut down. There's still cavalry in here, but other than that...
So he does have Serpentine Powder. I think that is, yeah, that's Voldemort who has it. So, I mean, that makes sense. He's the one with the hand cannoneers. And what we really need to see here from Voldemort is just make as many units as possible and try to just drain MSN. And I think at this point, he's kind of achieving that goal.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he spent about or 5,000 food, I believe. So he's down and like not floating as much anymore. And he's trying to or really getting pushing MSN here away. And Hankin is doing a great job. He now has the front line as well with the Man-at-Arms and the Gilbert Horsemen. And so he should be able to continue this onslaught here. And yeah, as you said, the hand cannon is so strong.
Yeah, look at how fast they're shooting.
High damage. Yeah, this is insane. It's like a mini Gatling gun here on 2 feet.
Yeah, you have the hand cannons, you have the Man-at-Arms and the Horsemen. This is I love this comp from Valdemar. He's just kind of sending it all towards MSN's base, and this is kind of, I mean, I want to say it's going to be hard for MSN to come back from this, especially you can see Valdemar's Q, 7 Horsemen in Q, 9 Men-at-Arms in Q. He's not stopping this pressure anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like the numbers, they're so misleading, right? I mean, if you're like, oh, it's only 7 horsemen. Yeah, but it's Order of the Dragon horsemen, it's elite horsemen. And by the way, if you're looking at the left corner of the screen, the eco and military text, it looks so beautiful for Valdemar. He has everything. He's completely set for the late game. Even though he only has 1 relic, he is feeling very good right now, getting rid of the secondary town center there. And he's almost in the base. Manners are next, Production's next, you can camp that. And I don't think that MSN has a way to get back. He's trying to rally units to the right side, I believe, trying to build up some significant mass here, but the Yeoman here doing a very good job against the hand cannoneers, but getting shredded by the Man-at-Arms in return.
Yeah, and MSN just barely keeping 100 pop, now sub 100 pop. He's really struggling to keep up with this OTD army, and at the same time we have a Man-at-Arms killing a villager here, killing an expo here. These kind of this damage adds up, and yeah, again, Valdemar's killing villagers on the other side. MSN is struggling to keep up currently.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy to me how good he still keeps up. I mean, he's not falling I don't know, as quickly as I might have imagined, or for sure as it would have happened with me. But he is really having a hard time here keeping it up. And Valdemar is just relentlessly pushing in, even with Ramside now trying to build a keep there, and that is the end. And MSN is tapping out. So 1-1 score.
Yeah, and you can see on the graphs here that MSN did kind of have an opportunity to do some damage, especially in the early game. In the mid game, he did have that military value advantage, but as the game went on, as that second TC kind of got more value, you can see the economy count there. Valdemar just kind of took away the game at a certain point, and I think at that 25-27 minute mark, when he took that really decisive fight, it was kind of his game to win.
Yeah, it took a while from there, but it was kind of clear how it would go from there. And when we look at like 17 minutes where this little dent in Valdemar's eco happened with the with the Hobolas especially in the woodline, that was nice. But as we said at the time, it wasn't enough to really stop Valdemar, and he was setting up for the long game. And once he was there, if we're looking at food, he had 40,000 more food than his opponent had. That's a lot of resources to work with, right? So
yeah, and MSN went for this, and this kind of style with the Orsgard and the dagger throws is very common, but I feel like the timing just wasn't there, especially with the Demi Lancers. They just didn't really get the damage done that they needed to, and using that 500 resources to maybe hit a little bit faster of a Orsgard timing, I think might have been a bit stronger, but either way, who really knows in the end. MSN definitely, put up quite a fight in this game. 41-minute game, not something Valdemar's at the end of it really saying, "Ooh, that was an easy game." I feel really confident now. But you can see that these players are very, very closely matched, and it's going back and forth consistently within these games. Even here, you can see MSN taking advantage.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot of back and forth, and definitely not an easy game for either player. So, Valdemar definitely happy that he equalizes the score 1-1 in the best of five. That feels a lot better than being down 0-2. And so, yeah, definitely a good point here for him to continue on here with the next match. Rus against Ayubits.
Ooh. Is that the next match?
Yeah, that's the upcoming match here. Um, that must be high. Is that high view? I believe.
Oh yeah, I see here.
Oh, sorry, pigeons. Yeah, of course.
Pigeon's View.
High. So, yeah, so pigeons
Interesting.
view. Rus.
I think the Rus
Ayubits.
is kind of makes sense, right? High view, it's good with hunty cabins, good with your high trade house, good with your scouts, because you're gonna have quite a bit, especially with pro scouts. The Ayubits play, to me, it's almost like a counter pick. Ayubits is pretty decent against Rus, especially with your Desert Raiders. You can definitely hit some nice timings there. But actually, I'm a bit surprised that Valdemar is maybe not so surprised. They are practice partners, but I have played against MSN before, and I know he does really enjoy Albids. A matchup he's pretty decent in particular, this matchup. I've played him in before, and he's done quite well. So, obviously these two are practice partners, but I have no idea what to expect, actually. I think this could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I would favor Rus just because the points that you mentioned with Pigeon's View or High View and Pigeon's View being very wood heavy. I don't know what Valdemar is going to do with the Ayubits though. I would have loved to see some more aggressive civilization against the Rus, maybe Japanese or Mongols, but with the Ayubits, I'm really curious to see how he's gonna, maybe utilize Desert Raiders, what kind of wing choices, and all the kind of fun things here, and whether or not MSN is opting for some more defensive hunting cabins because they can be burned down pretty easily. It doesn't look like that, so MSN starting on the northern part of the map, playing the Rus, and opening with double hunting cabin. Valdemar on the other side with the Ayubits. Opening on the berries, I believe. We're gonna see
Yeah,
that
it should
shortly.
be opening on the berries.
So yeah, there's the so no growth wing potentially, or maybe I mean he is splitting them off, so maybe he's opting for the growth wing, or at least leaving that option open for the time being.
Yeah, he definitely has that option if he needs to. He can always switch them onto the different berries here. But regardless, Ayubits have many options. He could go for the Dervish, he could go for the military wing reinforcement. I think that's something that's so great about Albids is the versatility this Civ has. You really can do anything, and it doesn't feel... It feels pretty decent, right? Like, no matter what you're doing. Just a different way of playing the game.
Yeah, and then I think that's also the point why, or the reason why it can be a little bit difficult sometimes to play against the Ayubits, just because you can't really know what they're gonna do. I mean, you can scout what the wings are, but even that can be a little bit tricky sometimes. So we see 3 scouts from MSN at the time, so definitely looking for some good passive gold income here, as the server pointing out, and potentially, most likely, I would say, the pro scouts. What is Valdemar doing against that? What do you think? Is he going to pro scouts himself, which probably not, or how is he going to shut that down?
I would be surprised if he went pro scout. To be honest, I think if you're Valdemar here, you kind of just want to go Castle Age, whether that's with 1 Desert Raider, 2 Desert Raiders, maybe you want to be more aggressive, go for a bit more. But I want to see a Castle Age fast on Valdemar's side, and I want to see either a Desert Raider mass, a Night mass. I don't really think he needs to contend for these deer, because on this map in particular, Pigeon's View, you actually have more berries than a normal map. I think you have 5 on your side in total, if I'm not mistaken. So you're not as concerned with those deer packs. You do want to stop your opponent from gathering your deer packs, but as you can see, the bottom side, Valdemar's deer is actually very safe. So if he could wall that off, he's securing his own side of the map, own deer side, without really being too concerned about MSN side.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a very important point here with the berries that you just made, and so we have the Golden Gate on the one side and countering logistics. So with the dervishes coming up on the other side, so no super early aggression with the desert raiders.
Yeah, interesting. Actually, I think just from macro oriented right now, because Valdemar has 8 people on wood, I do think we're gonna get maybe 1 to 3 desert raiders here, but I'd be surprised to see anything beyond that, because against Rus in particular, there's not too much you can do aggressive wise, right? Because they do have that wooden fortress, they can get the deer quite fast. And as an observer just pointed out, we do see Valdemar switching his villages to the fall berries, so we're probably going to get a growth wing in Castle Age. So that's what I think. That's what I expect. But we have to see that first. And actually, we see Emerson being aggressive here, so we don't see that typical Crow Scouts move. We're actually seeing him put on the aggression in this case, and that's a massive change from normal gameplay that Valdemar is going to have to react to. He's going to have to scout this and see, okay, maybe I have to switch up my game plan.
Yeah, I do wonder if MSN has scouted the wing, or if he just, automatically expects the desert raiders, and maybe that's why he's just putting down a barracks and archery range just to be sure that he has something that he can use to respond to the desert raiders. Because the one thing that you can actually pressure the Rus with, like, yeah, the pro scouts, it's a little bit difficult maybe to shut that down, but if you can shut down the hunting cabins, that's a lot of resources. So maybe that's what he was kind of expecting. He does see the archery range and now the desert raider there as well. Which, with the 2 dervishes, that can actually be really, really annoying to deal with.
Oh, definitely, that can be annoying to deal with. If Valdemar... I'm curious what Valdemar has scouted at this point, but I would like to see him trying to get some damage with these desert raiders. Obviously, he has the dervish as well, so if he even does take a little bit of damage, that's not something that should trouble him at all. He can just heal that, and he might actually be going for this bull, actually. So that would be taking the bull away from the... Sorry, I'm dying. Taking it away from the map.
Yeah, I mean, MSN was actually pulling that boar to annoy Valdemar a little bit, maybe, and then Valdemar's like, oh, that's a great idea, let me actually finish that. So yeah, there's the boar gone, so, wow, yeah, interesting. Usually that would be a situation where you just, take your horses and run, but with the dervishes, you actually don't really care about the boar here, and a nice little touch from Valdemar here in terms of delaying the potential eco strength from the Rus at a later stage with the boar. For now, just Valdemar's trying to secure the points of interest here, so the abandoned outposts, just to get some more vision into the stealth force. Actually, is he looking for the? He is looking for the second boar. So that is so funny to me.
Yeah. So this is kind of like, so when you kill the bull, it does actually delete it from the map, and this is intended behavior by the developers, but it is kind of a funky interaction, right?
Yeah.
Taking the entire objective away from the map. I mean, it's something that it's an interest. It's a mechanic in the game at this point.
Yeah, but it is interesting. When I saw it the first time, I was like, "Has it a bug? What is happening here?" But I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess it's so." And it's just how the game is programmed, and so that is something that you can take advantage of. Valdemar did see a lot of archers here from MSN, so that is something that you do not want to run into either with the Desert Raiders or with the Dervishes, because you can just snipe them out, and a dead Dervish can't really heal anymore.
Yeah, and taking kind of a step back and kind of looking at the game, from an observer point of view, I'm not really sure where Valdemar goes from here, because at this point MSN has quite a healthy archer count, to the point where you can't really engage if you're Valdemar. Yes, you have the dervishes, but we're getting to a point where MSN can maybe even one-shot these raiders. And it's a bit concerning heading into the mid-game here, because dervishes don't scale as well. You don't have that passive income that you would with the 3 villagers, or you would with the military wing reinforcement. You get the 2 dervish, and that's it, right? So you're not getting that additional value that you would be with other wings.
Yeah, so that is. I'm also very curious where Valdemar is going with that, because he's shot of gold, so by now he usually would be heading, or at least already would be in the castle age. But he's way away from that. He's trying to burn down a hunting cabin and almost succeed with that, but the archers are able to put a stop to that. He is denying the pro scouts on the left side, so that is good. But yeah, where's he going from here? That's really my question. Like, clearly no fast castle. Like, that is off the table for now. But what else are his options?
Definitely, and this is kind of a very, very messy game. You can see that MSN doesn't even have that much food income. He's defending his hunting cabins, but that kind of made him have to go all the way back to his own base where he was trying to be aggressive. So it's a hard game to kind of see where we're going here, but both players have good options. MSN has a larger army. Valdemar does have secure food in the back of his base. You can see that he's done quite a good job and walled most of the important resources on his map. Well, almost walled most of the important resources on the map. And, I mean, I guess this might be a decisive fighting point if MSN can actually manage to stop this wall here.
Yeah, that really could be difficult for Valdemar if he loses that position. And at the same time, he doesn't have the dervishes and the desert raiders with him. So villager gets sniped, so equal numbers here in terms of villager kills. So wall had been stopped for now, and MSN still has access to the base. There is a tower on the deer, so Valdemar is kind of safe there still.
Yeah, and Valdemar did actually, one of his dervish, he lost one of his dervish. So again, not a great situation you want to be in for him. He kind of hasn't really gotten any damage done with those units, and again, MSN looks to be colliding on those units. Ooh, a few more dervish picked off, a scout picked off. Ooh. And he actually gets the dervish, so yeah, again, not good trades for Valdemar here. And after that fight, I kind of want to see MSN push towards Valdemar's base and really capitalize on that mistake.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And if we're looking at the resources, Valdemar has a lot of food. He's way off gold right now because he was he was pushed off gold. But yeah, slowly losing all the units. He is down to 1 desert raider here in the front, who's getting chased by the archer spearman comp, or rather, no, only the archer. Sorry, but yeah, that is not a good look. That is not where you want to be as the Ayub. It's kind of like when you go for the Imam Vizier point with the Ottomans and then just lose them in field late. You're like, that was not cool. I didn't like that.
Yeah, that feels very bad. Even if it's not like the biggest deal, which it's pretty significant, it feels really bad, kind of opting to go for this strategy, and it did nothing really. Like, you think something's good, you try it out, and your opponent counters it entirely. It's a bad feeling to put yourself in. It's a bad feeling to be in, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the numbers are just skyrocketing. So MSN have stopped producing archers, but he's up to 47, and Ayubit's Valdemar is trying to get up there as well with 36. But then it's just archers against archers, and Valdemar has more, MSN rather, has more military techs as well, so if push comes to shove, he would win any fight here.
Yeah, and I'm surprised to see. I'm actually not so surprised from Valdemar to see this Ultramass. He doesn't really have too many options considering MSN already has those Spearmen, but I would like to see maybe 1 to 2 Knights from MSN at this point. We have the resources to kind of make those. I don't know if he's heading towards Castle Age. That kind of, to me, looks like MSN wants to get Castle Age here. But and he might opt to just see Valdemar's army, say, you know what, that's a little bit too much for me, I'm gonna go Castle Age. But Valdemar on the other side, he has 1200 food and essentially zero gold, so he can't really respond in the same way that MSN can.
Yeah, again, he had been shut off the gold, and that is really his main issue right now. And
I don't know how he got 600 gold. Did he
I think he just bought it. He must have traded. Yeah, I was like,
he had like 46.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. So military wing Mastersmith's coming up. Okay. To be honest, that's a wing I haven't seen for a long time, but I guess it does make sense in this situation. Yeah, I don't know.
It could just be that he wants to survive. Maybe he thinks he's, you know, kind of having a greedy H-up time, and he's like, if he pushes me and I just hit this, maybe I'll die. But with the blacksmith upgrades, I can hold it. I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but there's lots of things that could be going through his mind, which do make sense. So, yeah, opting for that option, I could see that. And we did kind of know this earlier that he could have went for the growth wing, but you know, things change, and he's reacting to his opponent here, who's being a very aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, by now, some of the berries probably are depleted anyway, so he maybe thinks like it's not gonna give him as much value as he was hoping for. MSN reaching Castle Age a little bit earlier. He was going up with, I believe, 18 villagers, so high trade house on the right side of the base, or a little bit outside of the base actually, on one of the woodlands. And MSN now getting the lead upgrade, or no, the veteran upgrade for the archers. And knights. He is looking for knights, actually.
Yeah, I like that, actually. And you can see how starved Valdemar is for gold. He has 2 gold in the front of his base, and Emerson is camping that really hard. He's trying to get the gold on the south side here, but you can see, other than buying gold, which he's been consistently doing, actually, he even bought some more, he doesn't have any access to gold, and one of the major things going Castle Age is you need gold. You need gold for upgrades, you need gold for units, and besides the Castle Age Ultra upgrade, we don't see too much, and that might be why he actually went for Master Smiths, so that he doesn't have to get those upgrades with gold, because that's a resource he actually doesn't have right now.
Yeah, that was also my thought, is that he gets the upgrades and he also gets them for free, so that is definitely some kind of eco bonus that he gets from that. And yeah, with the dervishes, I mean, if he had 2 dervishes, he could pick up relics right now, which he can't do. I mean, it would be difficult to do that anyway, because MSN is just camping everything. But that's also one of the reasons why you do not want to lose your dervishes early on. And MSN now, you know, veteran upgrade came in. He's now ready to move into the base here and try to go toe-to-toe with the archers from Valdemar, who has massed up significantly. So numbers-wise, looking very, very strong right now. And the knights would be needed right now. There's only 1 in front right now, so that is not a point where MSN can keep that fight and is retreating for now.
Yeah, MSN has to be very careful here, and he might not have noticed, but Valdemar did win Master Smiths, and not only does MSN have fewer archers, he actually doesn't have that range, the H3 Iron Undermesh upgrade yet. So Valdemar has the army advantage and the upgrade advantage, and if you're not paying very close attention, MSN could have missed that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to click on the units, or you have to see the House of Wisdom to see which wing they went for, and then, you know, put the dots together in your head. And Valdemar is pushing MSN not only back, but also, you know, slowly but surely getting more and more archer kills here, actually.
Yeah, he's doing quite a good job of punishing MSN for really being aggressive, and actually, this Mastersmith's idea is kind of saving him at this point. He's getting so much value
Mm.
here just by picking off a few archers here and there. It's really coming together.
Yeah, and now he could actually, if he wants to continue this chase, he could actually push off MSN from off gold for for a change. Even though so he doesn't really have a response to the knights now. He needs to be careful. I don't know if he knows about that. Is able to pick one of the relics up. MSN has two already, so could be a fairly even split, but it could and probably should have been a lot more in Valdemar's favor.
It's a very close game. Again, we were kind of ping-ponging back and forth. One person had an advantage, another person had an advantage, but at this stage, they're very close on the eco count. They're very close on the army value count. MSN is getting more relics. You see, he already has two, as you said, and getting a third one. But the next fight is where we're gonna see where this game is kind of heading towards, because they have not really had a major fight in this game, and it's been 19 minutes in the game, and we are seeing massive armies between the two here.
Yeah, massive armies, and the one advantage that I would see on MSN's side is he has fewer archers, but he does have 13 knights right now, 4 more in queue, and he has a couple of spearmen to also deal with the dervishes, desert raiders, camel archers even. Like there's one camel archer on Valdemar's side actually. So yeah, so he can deal with that fairly well, and he has the knights. So if he can, clap on top of Valdemar with the knights, I think MSN has that. He also has more army value. So in a straight up fight, he should be able to win this, I think. Also because he had the time now to also get his military upgrades. He's getting his eco upgrades. He's ahead in that regard, and so overall has the better eco at this point, I would say.
Again, though, Voldemort is playing very defensive. You can see that he's getting these Springald towers, very strong defenses, kind of feeling confident to just play a little bit more defensively here. You have to remember, especially if you're getting these Springald towers, these fortified outposts, these are resources that you're not spending on military, whereas MSN is very heavily investing into military here. So in a fight, and that we're seeing now, it's hard to tell who's going to win this, but both have a really, really big mass here, and Voldemort seems to have the edge here, actually.
Yeah, but I would say mainly because there's the knights in the back here trying to flank now, because they had not been part of that fight in any way, shape, or form. So now, since the knights have arrived, I think it might just turn the other way, and Valdemar is kiting back a little bit here, trying to do as much damage as he can. He does have a couple of crossbows, so they will do really good against the knights, but he is getting run back more and more, and MSN still does have the archer number in the back to keep that up and to deal with that.
Yeah,
Springle Tower is also no joke though, so MSN, yeah, kind of is between a rock and a hard place here.
Yeah, I don't know. He had that really big knight mass, and he's still has an army value advantage, but he's not doing the damage that he probably would have liked. And at the same time, you can see the villager count is kind of favoring Valdemar. I think he killed a few villagers somewhere on the map. I'm not sure exactly where, but he's now 11 villagers advantage. He's defended his berries there, feeling a little bit more confident than maybe 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think what MSN maybe got surprised by a little is the Springle Towers here. They went really heavy on the knights there, and so he had 20 knights, and then he was down to 7, I think. So that was really rough. And in terms of destroy value, Valdemar is on top, has the edge there as well. So Valdemar, with the defensive position, with the towers, with the wall here, the choke point, was able to take a big advantage in that fight, actually. And I would have imagined that the knights would have done more. But yeah, it wasn't so. And Valdemar, again, setting up for the late game, apparently.
Yeah, and you see that consistently from Valdemar. I think These two obviously know each other very well, but you can see that Valdemar definitely plays the more defensive approach, and MSN plays the more aggressive approach. Valdemar typically a lot more defensive, and I think he is stonewalling that south side. You can see he has 300 stone. He is building a wall down there. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but it seems very defensive towards me. And he's actually getting a Mega now as well, so playing for the late game here.
Yeah, with the mangonel, he can put a stop to the archer, and some crossbows getting added now by MSN as well. So that will help in that regard. He doesn't really have any, like, he doesn't produce spearmen. That's the interesting thing to me. He doesn't really have any camels left, and he doesn't produce spearmen against the knights. So that maybe could actually be an issue the longer the game goes. I mean, at the same time, he does have 22 crossbows, so I guess there's that.
Yeah, he does have the expo count, so it's not as concerning about the knights, but MSN is now swapping into the horsemen, which is a great counter into expos as well as archers, and something I like to see. So if MSN can't get that really big horseman mass, Voldemort doesn't have those spearmen, as you mentioned, we could see the army going heavily in favor of MSN.
Yeah, I mean, the horsemen also do bonus damage against the siege, so they actually would counter everything that Valdemar has right now. So again, you know, I the last two games, I personally think that we've seen some very good switches in MSN's comp, and Valdemar sometimes not able to do to replicate that in the same sense. So I'm really curious to see how this shapes out to be. And I also wonder if, like, at this point, if we're gonna see Imperial Age or not.
Yeah, just looking at economy, I don't. So MSN is down. Oh, Voldemar actually went for a second TC here, I guess. But he's down 22 villagers at this point, and that's a significant amount of villagers. He does seem like he has quite a good amount of food income, but... And he does have the relics, so I think either way, he's fine with going into the late game, but in the immediate game that we're seeing here, Voldemar should start to have a better income, right? With those villager advantage.
Yeah. Also with the Golden Age, has been pointed out, that is also looking very good. He only needs the last one, which is mainly giving him benefits for camels, which he's not really leaning heavily into. So for now has a very strong equal. It doesn't have the passive gold income that the High Trade House and the hunting cabins provide, but besides that, it's looking good. MSN, by the way, again was able to snatch 4 of the relics, just like last game. So I guess they're very happy with that kind of split.
Yeah, and you can see MSN again. He's a very aggressive player. He's trying to do damage, but you know, you run into these Springle Towers and you're just like, is this something I really want to be doing? And I think the answer is kind of no, but he has 200 pop army. I think either you want to go Imp Age here, or you want to attack a different location, and I think Emerson is actually opting for the Imp Age move. We can see him macroing towards that now.
Yeah, it's looking definitely like that, very close to Imp right now. And so yeah, that could be either because he cannot spend any more resources since he's pop capped, or because he's really looking for that. And yeah, with the Imp Age, there is high armory. We can see a lot of, cheaper siege units, and that's the thing. If you can't, run face first into it, just build some trebuchets and mow it down there, that way. So that, I think, is a good move here. Valdemar doesn't have the resources right now to respond to that. So in 20 seconds, 25, when the Imp Age up comes in, we're gonna see if Valdemar is gonna switch something up, or if he's just trying to continue for the time being with Castle Age and the fact that he has a better eco with over 100 villagers.
Yeah, and Valdemar seems to be, like, I understand he's kind of investing a little bit more into that eco, but he seems to be a little bit far behind on the aging up here. MSN could hit quite a nice timing here. He doesn't have the bombos. I'd love to see a bombo or two to deal with those Mangonels, those Manganiques, and as well as those Springle Towers, but I mean, as we've mentioned, he's capped pop. I mean, he's pop capped, and he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't even have the resources to actually make a Mumbo at this point.
Yeah, another point that we haven't touched on is the Sacred Victory approaching with a little over 4 minutes. So Valdemar does have a certain timer ticking. He's trying to decap it right now and stop it, but not able to do so. Horsemen coming into the front now, trying to get on top of the siege and the range as well. Valdemar not necessarily having a good counter against the horsemen here. They're only, you know, quote unquote castle age, but still crossbows and archers in the back as well, pushing Valdemar back again. And I think in combination, you know, like you have these different factors. You have the Imperial Age, you have the Sacred Victory coming. I don't think that Valdemar can find a response quickly enough to deal with that.
Exactly as you mentioned, I think MSN took this fight without even his imp age upgrades, but it was such a good fight for him that it doesn't really matter. You can see the destroyed value, he's now ahead. He's standing outside Valdemar's door. He's now making a bombard, as I mentioned earlier. He found the resources to actually make that. Valdemar not even heading towards imp here. As you mentioned, the Sacred Site timer ticking. It's a bit concerning for Valdemar here. Yes, he has that eco advantage, but he's only got 3 minutes to really stop these sites, and it's going to be really tough for him.
Yeah, I mean, even if you know, just ignore the Sacred Site for the time being, if we're looking at the map and MSN has the map control, he has access to 20,000 gold, or 24 even if you look at the northern side, whereas Valdemar only has this 1 gold in his back, in the back of his base still. So if we're looking at the long term and just you know spamming army, MSN has access to the resources, and Valdemar at some point will dry out. And I mean, if he doesn't trade, I don't know how else he will get the gold to sustain his army.
Yeah, and Valdemar did get a nice keep near that Sacred Site, but I'm not sure if it's close enough to actually deny it. I don't think so. Maybe I was kind of... Either way, he's preparing to fight. Oh yeah, so pretty close actually with that keep there. I'm not sure. MSN might try to stop this anyway, kill the villagers, but it's definitely a position that where Valdemar can kind of, you know, take advantage of and kind of fortify that position a little more to take advantage of that site positioning. But even so, look at the army value. He's so far behind that. Is he even going to be able to get to that keep with his army? I don't think so.
No, I mean, MSN right now is just torching down the keep with the horsemen. He has elite horsemen, he has elite crossbows. That is a lot of elite army against Valdemar, who's still, you know, struggling with the numbers and also is still castle age. And so even he's switching to spearman now, but it's a little bit too late and not enough units anyway. So I think MSN can just either ignore the keep for now, or he can just torch it with melee units. Yeah, as he did. Great job there, preventing that Sacred Victory from not happening. Got biology as well, so they're even tankier now. And incendiary area. So yeah, again, MSN getting all the upgrades that he needs and has a very strong army.
Yeah, and with that, Voldemort taps out, calls GG, and says, "I can't stop the Sacred Sites. I can't kill your army. This one's over."
Yeah. Again, a little bit of a back and forth. Very, very close players. There is definitely not a you know, like underdog or favorite here, at least for me. But in the end, MSN taking the lead here very significantly, and I think it was like, yeah, part army composition, but also part matchup. I think Rus is favored against Ayubids on this map. And MSN, like, yeah, regardless, was able to take that win. So 2-1 at this time.
Yeah, definitely. And we can see in the military advantage, MSN pretty much had that throughout the entire game. Yes, Valdemar had a very, very small advantage at the start with his Desert Raiders, but he really couldn't translate that into a bigger advantage. Usually when you go to Dervish Wing, you want to try to get value immediately because the healing is better in small numbers, and MSN didn't really, you know, get caught off gawed by that too much. And again, these small things, especially in the early game, add up throughout the game. And MSN did a great job of Roy kind of being one step ahead of Valdemar, I want to say. He got to Castle Age faster, he got to Imp Age faster, he had that army advantage, he got those relics. And at the end of the day, that's really all you need to do, just be one step ahead of your opponent.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, exciting series so far. I would say really, tied back and forth here. And I just wish we had seen more of the dervishes. I really liked the boar play here. That was really fun and exciting to see in a sense. But other than that, I don't think that the dervishes really accomplished much. We see they've been almost one shot by the archer numbers here, and then I'm not even sure how the desert raiders were then caught later on. But he basically lost every desert raider at that point, and yeah, that's a very uphill battle from that point on.
Yeah, definitely. And even here, you can see Valdemar taking some decent fights. He's getting quite a decent bit of archer kills here, but he is really pinned in his base here. And MSN already had the Night Mass coming up towards it. Even at this point, Valdemar has 0 gold per minute, and again, pinned in his base here. He's taking okay fights, but he's not really doing anything on the other side of the map.
Yeah, it was the map control in the end that did him in, like if the Sacred Victory wouldn't have been like 1 minute away, maybe he would have been like, okay, I have the better eco, I can technically set up the late game, I just need to fight back to the map control. But all these factors considered, it was just too much for him to continue that game.
Yeah, exactly. And we can see the upcoming match here. Valdemar opting with the Japanese against MSN's HRE on Rockies, a version of Coastal Cliffs. For those who are familiar with that map, just for King of the Rockies.
Yeah.
But this matchup in particular, probably a very interesting match. I think HRE and Japan are very similar, so both have a lot of options. It could go either way, I think, really depending on where they want to head towards. A very aggressive feudal age. Maybe one could opt for a castle age. There's a lot of options to be held up next in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we both typically I would say go use or like the fast castle option the most. But as you said, a strong feudal age definitely possible. Both actually could even play dark age. I don't expect it. But technically, both civilizations could even go into the Dark Age aggression, and so it really comes down to what they want to do and what they can scout from their opponent to maybe throw them off there.
Yeah, actually, I must say, I played against Valdemar quite a bit ago in this matchup in particular, and I was Japan and he was HRE, so the same matchup he'd be playing now, and I think he will go for a Dark Age because that's what I did, and he was finding that to be a little bit difficult. So, I mean, that's just my guess. Obviously, he could have had different learning experiences from then on out, but I'd say that's probably where we're headed here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see some Dark Age aggression. Ever since I started with Age of Empires, it kind of felt weird that you try to get out of Dark Age as soon as possible. You don't want to stay there for whatever reason. And it makes sense, obviously, but at the same time, it's like, that's one aspect of the game that gets completely ignored, and then some people don't like Imperial Age, so they leave that out as well, and so you're left with only Feudal and Castle Age. So it kind of feels like you're leaving some of the game out, and this small period, when the Dark Age or when the Deer Push actually was part of the game, I really enjoyed that actually because it just brings a little bit more into the Dark Age. I also liked Enlightened Horizon with the barracks and then going for the Wolf Stand, and so yeah, just using more of the Dark Age. I'm really up for that. So yeah, maybe we'll see Dark Age. I don't know.
I think some civs have more Dark Age ability than others, right? Japan in particular they can go Men at Arms and they can go Spearmen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they kind of have more potential to do Dark Age. H3, another one, also quite strong in the Dark Age as well. So we could be seeing potentially even both players starting Dark Age, right? We could be seeing a very messy game from here.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing. Like, I'm really hoping for a messy Dark Age game. That would be so much fun.
I think
But
it
yeah,
would
so
favor Japan, but I'm not sure, to be honest.
yeah, but I would say it depends on if Japanese can actually kill HA units, because if not, you can just pull them back and heal them up with a prelate. So I think that's mainly that's what I would say where it comes down to. But yeah, I mean, we're just seconds away apparently from the start of the game, so I'm really excited for that game. Um, MSN currently 2-1 up against Valdemar. So MSN with the Holy Roman Empire on the left side, starting immediately with the barracks, and Valdemar on the right side with the Japanese. Starting on the berry here, we see a beautiful little mountain lake here. Interesting, map generation. Usually you only have like a river or whatever, but it's actually like a mountain lake. Very, scenic map here. Really love to see that.
Yeah, and interesting. Voldemort is actually not going for that Dark Age that I suggested earlier. So he thinks different approach is better. And he's going for a quick gold, so he's gonna likely have enough gold to age up here without any problems.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really need to scale MSN. He might anyway, and see that MSN's going for those spearmen. But either way, shouldn't have any trouble aging up here in this case.
No, you usually cannot really deny the age up. That usually doesn't happen, but it will set back Valdemar once he then hits feudal age, and so I I don't know, like I don't want to say that's like a mistake or whatever, but that definitely is something that MSN could capitalize on with setting Baltimore back a little bit. And as been pointed out, so the gold and the parries, they're both outside of TC range, so the spearman can actually rain pretty freely here.
Yeah, he's gonna be able to stop this gold, and well, what I want to see is how many spearmen MSN makes initially, and I like that he's not making too many, right? Because
Hmm.
he's gonna be able to stop the gold, stop the berries to a certain extent, but outside of that, not too much, right? So unless you're tower rushing here, and I don't think tower rush is that great against Japan. We don't really need more spearmen, and I love to see that MSN is now moving on to the gold fast and trying to get an age up behind this.
Yeah, I think if you overinvest into the Dark Age aggression, it can also again backfire really fast, because yeah, as we saw, Valdemar all like so close, but yeah, he did get enough gold, so he is aging up with the Kura storehouse, and then yeah, he can build archers or Yumi in this case, and then he can just kill the Dark Age spearmen. So if you build a couple of them, at some point it doesn't do you any good. So 2, I think, is the perfect number. 1 actually probably would have been enough, and yeah, then just moving out uh, onto the gold quite heavily, trying to catch up here with the prelate. So 5 inspired villagers getting the gold really fast here.
Yeah, and we'll have to see where Voldemort goes with this. You have to assume that he's going to build an archer range so that he can get back on his gold, so that he can get on his berries, but does he invest into a tower to go Castle Age? Does he maybe make horsemen? The idea is he heading towards a Feudal Age game or a Castle Age game? And we're going to see that pretty soon based on his production choices and his defensive choices here, just as he ages up.
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of expect the castle age, but at the same time, he might be like, you know what, I'm delayed so heavily right now, I might as well stick it out in feudal. As long as my opponent isn't getting into castle age, he will not benefit from the relics as well, so it's kind of evened out. The forge has almost been torched down here by MSN, so Valdemar had to pull a villager to, to repair it back up. And there's the feudal age, there's the Austria range, so exactly as it, as we expected, of course. But what I didn't really necessarily expect is the Mindwork Palace, though. What is your thoughts on that?
That's an interesting option, actually. I agree with you. I didn't really expect that, but looking at what Voldemort's doing, going for this double archery range, I kind of like it. We get that extra damage on the horseman, and especially, I expect for him to drop a stable, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, actually he's going ultras, okay. I mean, if you're going Mindwalk, it could make sense. You get those quick Steel Arrow and Ion Undermesh upgrades, but personally, I would have liked to see one stable just to kind of force Voldemort to at least go for the Spearman, maybe force him to build a few more towers out on the map just to have that, just to have the pressure from the horseman, right?
Yeah. I mean, the good news is we're not gonna see Pro Scouts, so that might be something that a lot of people in chat
Hmm.
might enjoy, like after that, Season 10 Pro Scout fatigue, not having to deal with Pro Scouts this game, at least for the time being.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be a full, from what it looks like, a full feudal baboon. We're just making as many units as possible and sending them across the map. You love to see it every once in a while, and that's what it feels like Voldemort is doing. He's up to 7 Yumi right now, and he's kind of just sending them across the map.
Yeah, and MSN is actually doing the same, but he's not really taking care of that one archer, so that probably is gonna be picked up by the faster moving Yumi. They're moving to a different target for now. So that was a close call here. MSN with numbers a little bit behind, but he is ahead in army value. But okay. I never remember if the prelate does count to the army value or not. I'm not sure about that.
I don't think so. I mean, I have no idea, but that would be kind of odd, no? For the prelate to be counted?
But I mean, there's like 8 units, right? Like 6 archers and 2. I mean, yeah, the scout as well. So okay.
So it does? Really? That's kind of odd. Alright. Um, I mean, at the same time, though, both are getting their upgrades. Japan has to pay a little bit more for his upgrade, but doesn't have to build a blacksmith, so he's going to be very, very fast as well. And
Mm.
we're seeing a few picks here and there. Actually, looking at the destroyed value, Emerson is getting the better side of this.
Yeah, which I mean, he does have the upgrades already, so that's maybe why. And I think now's the point where we have 2 prelates, right? So one is in the no, there's no Archon Chapel. So he has one standing probably at the wood line, the other one is gold. So he actually could pull. Oh, there's where the berries status. So he actually could pull the military back and then just let it heal up there, because as long as you don't lose the army, you can just heal them back up again. So for now, MSN actually a little bit ahead. Actually, picking off the scout here, very nice.
Wow.
And
And
yeah, as been pointed out, Valdemar has a lot of sheep in his base, so food-wise, he's looking very good. There's a tower that we talked about on his gold, so could actually transition into the castle play here.
yeah, it
Think
seems
of
like
it.
that's what he's doing, right? He has the tower, so he's prepping that option. It's a very common move from Japan, where you kind of get that ultra mass out to support your knights in the mid game.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised at all to see, especially with that sheep count heading towards Castle Age here.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. There's a man at arm, but there's a lot of Yumi, so they will wiggle him down sooner or later. And yeah, with that food, with the gold, like, in a sense, like, why not go? Like, he hasn't died yet. He knows that MSN doesn't have an army that will allow him to move in and kill him once he hits Castle Age. So, yeah, could do it. He did lose his scout, so he's kind of blindsided, so he doesn't see anything outside of his base. So that might be an issue in a short time.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about this again because I just feel like MSN probably should have went into Horseman at this point, but it's just one of those things where, like, you're gonna probably go for that stable at some point anyway for the Knights, and we can see Voldemort is making pure archers, right? 18 Yumi at this point. I feel like Emerson kind of missed that opportunity a little bit to be a little bit more aggressive with the Horseman, and now he doesn't really have a lot of options left over. Like he's going for the siege engineering, but at this point, Valdemar is very, very close to Castle Age.
Yeah, yeah, very close. And I mean, if MSN is able to run into the base with a couple rams, he has a couple men at arms, he has a lot of archers. As soon as Valdemar hits Castle Age, then I can see that working out for him. But I don't know. I don't. The issue for me is the composition. There's a horseman lacking. That's I think the main issue here. Floating gate coming up a little bit conservatively with 8 villagers, so not rushing it as much. But yeah, military production has come to a halt here, and they're actually MSN is able to scout that out. So he knows about the castle age, and is now running on top of the gold here to prevent any upgrades. So yeah, you hit Castle Age, but you don't have any gold left.
Yeah, and that's a great timing by MSN. Valdemar didn't really respect MSN's army here. He didn't upgrade that tower. He didn't get the fortify. I don't think he even got arrow sweats. And
No.
he's kind of getting punished for that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as our observer pointed out, all 3 gold that you start with, kind of, they're all on that side. So as long as MSN camps that, he can shut down the gold income completely. Also did shut down the age up actually. So a lot of villagers being garrisoned right now, and the Yumi are trying to get down the archer numbers. So MSN investing a lot here right now in this engagement, but I would say that's absolutely worth it right now.
It's a bit tough to call.
Yeah.
Valdemar does have the Dynamo at this point, so his TC is doing more damage, which is, you know, very, very helpful in this situation. But at the same time, MSN is getting a lot of idle time. He's heading towards Castle Age himself. It's one of those situations where I don't really know how this is going to turn out, but interesting.
I mean, the thing is, at the same time, he killed every single unit of Valdemar. There's no military units at all. There's a lot of idle time, as you said. The age up hasn't gone through. It's being, you know, restarted now. Definitely tough to call because, yeah, MSN also lost almost everything that he had, but that was a lot of damage. And yeah, now it's round 2 here with, oh, maybe not. Maybe. He does have men at arms, so he could still continue with that, but yeah, there's the age up. And the first Shinto priest coming out. What do you do in that situation? Where do you put the Yorishiro in?
It's a tough one, right? Because you can see that he doesn't even have access to gold. He probably will. MSN only has 5 archers at this point, so I think if it were me and I had all the information, I'd say, yeah, drop in a stable. And I think Valdemar might do that anyway. He's kind of understood at this point that MSN has kind of stopped his all-in, so making the right decision, I think, dropping it in a stable. Ooh, yeah, dropping it in a stable, and gonna get the map control that way.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of need to fight back the map control, because yeah, it's like with the 3 goals on the left side there, if you lose that part of the map, you're basically dead. There's the first amount of samurai out there. And that's gonna be a tough beast for MSN to deal with. He only has, as you said, 5 archers, fuel age archers, and just now reached Castle Age, immediately picking up 2 of the relics, actually. 3 of the relics, what a play. Very nicely done here by MSN. Moving out with the prelates in, like, and what a great timing here, actually. Like, I'm really impressed by that.
Yeah, that is a great timing. So I was kind of confused. Why is he only up 3 villagers? He's killed 6, right? But yeah, as you mentioned, he has the three prelates. He's instantly picked up the relics, and that's 3 relics going to presumably Ragnit's HRE hero. So
yeah,
massive advantage if he can not lose anything behind that.
Yeah, I mean, 3 relics definitely in his possession. He does have the Ragnits, so that's gonna be 100% extra gold income with the relics. And potentially, I mean, he is... One of the relics is on his side as well, so that should be 4 at least, and he probably will not get the 5th one. I don't see that happening. It's being picked up by Valdemar right now. So a 4-to-1 split when you're having the Ragnits, that's pretty good. I would be happy with that, and moving into the Knights here as well, which, I mean, they're not countering the amount of Samurai, but at least they're, they can stand their ground against them.
Yeah, but you have to look at... I totally forget what this Knight upgrade is from the Mind Wolf, but he's getting that, which makes them very, very powerful.
You're right. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I totally forgot for a second that he does have the mind work, actually. So yeah, that is definitely something that will make them a little more of a beast with even more armor. So yeah, Mounted Samurai do have the deflective armor. That's nice, but once that is gone, it doesn't matter anymore. And then you have the heavy armor from the HIE Knights here, and yeah, we can see like they take so much damage from the Daimyo manner, and they do not give any care about that.
At the same time,
good raid by Valdemar.
Yeah, Valdemar is getting a lot of good raids, and he's actually equalizing the eco count, which MSN fought very hard to get advantage of in the first place, right? He suicided his entire army there, and I mean, it's not tragic by any means, but not something you really want to be allowing your opponent to get away with.
Yeah, and it is difficult because now we have the situation that just have knights chasing knights. That is not good, and he's also losing the crossbows in the front of his base because again you don't have the knights with you. So a little bit struggling here with maintaining a clear picture of the game, I want to say here.
Yeah, and I think Valdemar is kind of... So he understands that MSN does have that really, really nice gold economy, right? With the relics. He also has a gold very close to his base. He hasn't finished off his main gold. So he's trying to focus on the food, and it's a good thing to focus on, and he's gotten some damage with that, but at the same time you can see MSN kind of retaking control of the game, forcing Valdemar back to his own base, right, with these knights here. And if he can do that and maintain his food income, he should be able to outproduce Valdemar at this point.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, with the relics, you can basically pull all the villagers off gold, and still maintain a pretty good gold income to get your upgrades as he's doing, and then just scale from there. With the prelates, you can heal up your units, you can buff them. So just putting the 6 prelates, by the way. I mean, this feels more like Delhi if you're looking at it, with a lot of prelates here. So he will use them definitely in a more aggressive way, with healing them up and inspiring them to just to be more effective here in the battles as well.
Yeah, and I like that a lot. I think this is something that a lot of people, myself included, don't use enough. And a lot of people in general say like, oh, why don't you heal your units? Or, your unit is like almost dead. Heal him, And there was a point to that, especially when you can kind of take advantage of that with really strong units like Knights. And MSN's doing a great job of making sure all of his units are in good health and inspired.
Yeah, and I mean, that is something that you can, like, maybe that will give him the edge, maybe that will not win you the game immediately, but that can be the edge. And in such, we talked about that a couple times now, how close these players are in terms of skill, and something like that can really be the tiny little thing that changes from I barely lost the game to I barely won the game.
Yeah, definitely, and we can see Valdemar actually transitioning to Onimusha here, and he might have kind of recognized that, okay, MSN did go for the Mindwalk Knights, he has very strong Knights, I actually need a definitive counter to these units instead of just mass-mounted Samurai, which is often the move. However, Valdemar is doing a great job at picking a few units here and there, picking off reinforcements, picking off an Expo, picking off a Prelate. And that's this damage adds up quite a bit, and we're not seeing anything on MSN's side to take care of this.
Yeah, definitely great job here by Valdemar, and that is part of he's raiding really effectively, he's picking up reinforcements really effectively, and at the end of the day he can just run away, because he has knights, the opponent has knights, and so he doesn't lose anything in that regard anyway. Also pushing off MSN off the deer again. So just, you know, being a distraction here and there, and really slowly but surely, like, Japanese eco is also no joke, right? With the farms and with the daimyo manor, and so it's like, yes, with the relics that's really great, and also 2 sacred sites in MSN's favor, but Valdemar has the numbers to compete that, and if he doesn't wait too long, yeah, I think he definitely has a good shot here still.
Yeah, for sure. The Japanese economy is no joke by any means, and it's the food income where you can kind of really see Japan getting that advantage. Now, they're currently pretty similar food income, but you can see that MSN has invested quite a bit more resources into the farms, whereas Voldemort is just getting those for free.
Yeah, and again, not only for free, but also improved one here. Speaking of farms, we have a little bit of a raid here from MSN. Underneath the farm, some sort of distraction, Wololo coming out here to prevent any further raid here. But Valdemar slowly but surely getting pushed off. He was trying to decap the sacred sites. We're down to 8 minutes now, and it's still a lot of time, but it also goes down really quickly, you know, like, you gotta be careful there.
Yeah, and MSN is pushing into Voldemar's base. Again, a very common theme throughout this game. MSN being the aggressor, Voldemar being the defender, and at this point, it's not really working out for MSN. He's retreating, reinforcements are coming, so Valdemar might have to be a little bit hesitant here, but overall, pretty good fight for Valdemar, I'd say, and you can see it in the destroy value.
Yeah, and I mean, it was mainly because of the Onimusha getting on top of the knights here and really getting those numbers down, and then MSN is only left with the crossbow mass that then get hunted down by the Mounted Samurai. So definitely in favor for Valdemar that last fight. MSN still has a slight edge in army value, but it's not as significant as it used to be. Meanwhile, another minute in the Sacred Victory, you know, I keep repeating. So I don't know if that's the plan, but that's definitely one point where you can pressure your opponent a little bit. And if, you know, if MSN wins this, he's actually through, and he is actually qualified for King of the Rockies 2025. And so that also, you know, puts Valdemar a little bit under pressure. He needs to make it work, but he also cannot really risk too much because there's no coming back anymore.
Yeah, he's on the ropes, and he's trying to, you know, get all the damage he can. You can see here, he's trying to make things work. He's trying to keep MSN from kind of running away with this game, and he's doing a good job. He's getting a few picks here and there. He's pressuring MSN to the point where MSN doesn't feel too comfortable to ignore this army, right? And you can actually see Voldemar is actually getting a knight here, a knight there. He's taking quite good fights at this point.
Yeah, I would say the fights that he's taking are in his favor, but it's just the numbers that he's lacking right now. MSN was able to mass up 2,000 more value, and has a very sizable crossbow mass. If we're looking at 54 and then 6 more in queue. And Valdemar desperately tried to decap the sacred site. We're down to 6 minutes, but he was not able to hold that position. MSN is now moving more out on the map to the gold in the middle of the map here, just trying to preserve the resources that he has in his base. But yeah, with the Sacred Victory approaching, with the bigger army, and only a slight, if at all, a slight disadvantage in eco, I think this looks really good for MSN right now. Yeah,
it definitely does, and it's MSN isn't even like walling his base or anything, especially against Mounted Samurai or Onimusha. They expect him to be a little bit more defensive, but he's just very aggressive, trying to keep Valdemar in his base by just kind of having his units outside his doorstep, right? And he has enough units to do that. He has the army value advantage, but is he actually able to take a good fight and do some damage to Valdemar's side? I'm not sure.
No, because Valdemar is so mobile with Onamusha and Mounted Samurai, but at the same time, MSN doesn't really necessarily need to force a fight as long as he can. Like the longer the game goes, I'm more convinced that the Sacred Victory is actually his goal and his win condition here. He just needs to hold the position. He has the numbers to do that. He cannot force a fight because he has a generally slower moving army. But any fight that he would take would probably be in his favor. So Valdemar is trying to move out here again. He has a couple of spearmen in the mix, but they don't really do too well against the crossbows, and numbers in MSM's favor for now. Lost most of his front line, but the crossbows are still standing, and they're more than a nuisance to deal with.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see that Voldemort is a little confused on what to actually build here. He's going Yumi, he's going Musha, he's going Spearman, he has a few Mounted Samurai, but I feel like the thing that we're not seeing from Voldemort is Horsemen, and against 58 Expos, if you don't have Horsemen, if you don't have Mangonels, it's going to be really hard to actually kill those Expos, and MSN is doing a great job of keeping those Expos inspired, so they're doing a lot of damage at this point.
Yeah, and I could imagine it's pretty frustrating probably for Valdemar to, he tried a couple of different things by now, and nothing seems to really work in his favor, and yeah, really, really unfortunate here, and pretty good masterclass play here by MSN. He is walling off the right side of the map now, just for good measure, but yeah, just the fact that he is keeping Valdemar on his toes, he is keeping a map control. Like every single game that we've seen pretty much follows the same pattern, I feel like. That he has the map control, he doesn't really need to wall in, and yeah, he can just, with the superior numbers or age advantage sometimes, just keep it. Yeah, we see two predators being pulled here with the relics, so they will buff the outposts as well. They could also pull them in case he needs to do an emergency Vololo there as well. So Sacred Victory in 3 minutes, looking to be the goal here.
Yeah, and I love this from MSN. He's just taking advantage of everything that H3 has to offer. He's got the relics inside the outposts, he's got his units inspired, he's kind of massing outposts with emplacements, right? Cheapo with the H3, so he's really... This is clinical, he's really utilizing everything that H3 has to offer to secure himself a ticket to King of the Rockies.
yeah, exactly. I mean, very, very well played here in overall, and as you said, like using every single aspect that HRE has to offer, not skipping anything here. 14 prelates, like really playing it like Delhi at this point in a sense. A big fight here, the last ditch effort from Valdemar to make it work here, but the outpost doing a lot of damage, a little bit of a messy fight here as well. MSN just kiting back and forth here with the crossbow numbers really strong, almost 70 crossbows. I don't think Valdemar has the numbers. He's down to 1/3 right now, and MSN didn't even need to pull the relics.
Yeah, and it's looking grim for Valdemar at this point. We got 1 minute, 40 seconds on the Sacred Site, and he essentially has very small army at this point, up against near 70 Expos from MSN, multiple Spring All Towers. He's gonna need a miracle to come back from this.
Yeah, I mean, even if he had siege, to trap the outposts down, that takes too long. Even without the emergency repairs, that just takes too long. So you need to take them by brute force in a sense. But MSN has the superior numbers. He can keep it up. He doesn't mind to have a scrappy fight underneath the outposts. And there it is. MSN taking it 3-1 against Valdemar in an impressive HE game. If you wanna, I don't know, you could probably make a guide out of that last game here.
Yeah, that was MSN played that very, very well. He knew what he was doing. He had a game plan. I was a little bit curious what he was doing, but you could tell that he knew what he was doing. He had those prelates ready for the relics. He transitioned into the night into the knights with the mind walk. He was on top of things. He had the strategy ready to go, and he executed it it very well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. GG and a well-deserved ticket to the King of the Rockies
Yeah.
2025. By the way, that lad is only 16 years old, so we had to make sure that, legally speaking, everything is fine and he can actually attend. So congratulations there for the first, like besides the two invites, you and Louis MT, the first one making it through the qualifiers.
Yeah, that's quite an achievement for him. He's a young guy, and taking this first spot to King of the Rockies against a good player, Valdemar. He's got to feel happy about that. He's got to feel like maybe he could do quite some upsets as well at King of the
Hmm.
Rockies. I'm looking forward to seeing him there.
Yeah, and Valdemar, he still has a good shot in the next two qualifiers to make it. And actually, earlier I was talking to my wife when we were watching the qualifiers together. She doesn't play Age of Empires. She doesn't have any idea about the game, but just to like sit on the couch and cuddle together, I couldn't convince her. And she actually asked me to make a list of 6 players of the people who I would expect to make it. And MSN was on that list, and Valdemar as well. So I do
Yeah.
expect big things from Valdemar, and I do not think that this is the last that we've seen of him.
No, definitely. I think Valdemar will be back and stronger, and here
Hmm.
to make another shot at going to King of the Rockies. All right, MSN. How are you
What's up?
feeling after qualifying to King of the Rockies?
I'm feeling pretty relieved, and I'm looking forward to get some dinner because it's 1 a.m. So I'm also hungry. That's about it.
Yeah, true. It is kind of a bit late for anybody who's not in North America, but happily, it's only 7 p.m.
Yeah.
for me. So 7 p.m. for me, so I won't keep you here too long. I just kind of want to get your thoughts on the games in particular.
Sure. Should we just go one by one?
Yeah, let's just go one by one. So, I have to bring that up for a second here.
Yeah, same.
Let's start with the draft, actually, because that's where I would start with. How do you think the draft went for you? Do you think you had an advantage, a disadvantage? Were you happy overall?
Well, the first step is to find the draft. So give me a sec. All right.
I'm supposed to remember it.
I think I was happy with the draft here. Yeah, for sure. I was kind of surprised by the OTD pick at number 3, but I guess he really likes it on Prairie, which paid off. So
Yeah,
stars to him.
he did actually win that map in particular. I was surprised by that too, actually, going into the series. But I saw that he played against Magic with that particular pick. And
Yeah, I saw that too.
I think in general, it's kind of it's a strong pick. It's not something you would expect, and if you're not prepared for it, I could see how things could go sideways quick. Take one bad fight, then you're behind in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, let's jump into the first game here, which was on Cliff's side. You were Ottomans against Byzantines. How do you think? Were you happy with the tower rush? Because normally when you play a matchup against Byzantines, the tempo of the game is really decided at the start of the game, right? And were you happy after that?
I was for sure happy because he pulled Wills a couple times and I got some idle time and stuff. So I was very happy with the tower rush, for sure.
Yeah, because you kept him very contained in his base, right? And you had a really high supply count. And I think in particular that fight on the berries allowed you to kind of, I want to say, push the advantage heavily in your favor after that. Do you remember that fight?
Yeah, the one where I picked off the longbows and archers. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
or is
yeah,
it
that
in
fight.
Dark Age?
No, the one with the
Okay.
supply picking off his
Yeah.
longbows and his
It's
archers on the berries.
With that fight, I limit his mercenary count, so it doesn't mass. Especially with longbows, they're kind of scary once they scale. So I think that was almost GG.
Yeah, I think that was huge for you, kind of taking advantage of that fight. I think we kind of saw the game go on for a little bit longer after that. I don't know if you felt maybe a little bit concerned after. Yeah, this is the fight where you kind of really took the advantage and kind of went with it. That Cowish highlighting now, but you didn't. After this fight, you kind of opted to go for a little bit more of a snowbally approach. You didn't really all in him after this. It
Yeah.
did work out in your favor, but there was a period where I felt a little bit worried for you when he had like 20 point.
Yeah, honestly, he recovered really, really well with like the vamps in the back and walls, and I think that's what Valdemar's really good at, just sticking it out to the late game and then winning, because he's really good in the game. So I mean, in previous games, because obviously me and Valdemar practice a lot, the thing I've learned about that is like I need to just take it slow, don't dive as CC, just play relax and then do like a timing push and castle H.
And I think that was kind of a major theme throughout this series is you're the more aggressive player, he's the more defensive player. And I think that kind of worked a little bit in your favor, that you kind of knew, because you are practice partners, right? You kind of knew how to react to his style a little bit better. And it worked very well in this game in particular. You did one big fight, you pushed towards his base, and you kind of just closed the game out. There was a point where it was scary, but you closed the game out before he really got to that point where he could make a lot of units. Do you agree? How do you feel about this game?
I do agree. I don't know if, I mean, obviously I didn't have the guard view like you did, so maybe there was a point, but I felt relatively comfortable throughout the entire game.
Yeah, I think this game in general you played very, very well, the Ottoman Byzantine game. So if you have any more comments about that, we can move on to the next one. If not, we can move on to the next one.
I think that's all.
Okay, so the second game, House of Lancaster versus OTD. This was a 41-minute game, by the way. I casted it, I remember. you played the game, so you definitely remember. But it was not it was not a short game, right? Did you what did you kind of want going into this game, you know? Because normally you're always gonna have a game plan. What do you want going into this game?
Honestly, I was kind of confused because none of my practice had like any of this. First of all, I haven't practiced Prairie because usually in my drafts I always get like Golden Heights and the water map, and never really. I always ban Prairie as second ban. But here he picked it, so I didn't really have a lot of practice going into it. I was expecting to lose the game. But actually, the reason I picked Lancaster instead of French is because I saw you playing Lancaster in practice versus Puppy.
Really?
So
okay.
I thought fuck it, send it.
Hopefully that's not my fault then, but
it was close. I was kind of just freestyling. I didn't. There was a couple of unit switches here and there, just my style, but nothing concrete. I was also kind of surprised by the second CC. Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, after the second TC, what did you think about your Orsgods? Like, obviously that's a very popular style, but you kind of, from my point of view, you didn't get too much value from them immediately.
Yeah, I agree. The whole point of it, I mean, obviously I just came up with it on the spot. There's no practice whatsoever behind it. Whole point of it was to try and deny the wood line because it was in the front. So if I got the wood as like insane, then he wouldn't be able to get an archer range down, whereas he can get crossbows. So that was kind of the strat, which is obviously stupid because you can just go on stragglers, but that was my thought going into it. But I wasn't satisfied with the Earl Scout play.
Yeah, I can see why. Although I think one of your strong suits is you have very good multitasking. We can see that throughout this game that you are behind the majority of the game, but you're really trying to come back through the multitasking. However, I want to focus on this fight because that's what we're showing. What did you think about this fight? Like, I thought you actually had the army value advantage going in. Did you think that this would go so poorly?
Honestly, I never really know how the fight is gonna go. I just kind of go for it and then see how it goes. But I was kind of surprised how poorly I lost. Like, I got completely destroyed in that fight, and I guess it was just the horsemen from him that kind of fucked me over because I had no response to them. I guess I should have added in some spearmen.
Yeah, and as we progress through this game, you can kind of see Valdemar kind of playing his, very defensive. One move at a time, walling the map, getting a keep up, not making sure to extend himself too far. Did you feel like at any point in this game he was kind of giving you a way to get back into the game, or do you feel like this is kind of an uphill
for sure.
battle?
I mean, that's the magic about his playstyle. You like for a second you think, wait, I'm alive, but then he has resources in the bank and he just pushes you.
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw too. Like, He's kind of coming back, but at the same time, not really, you know. And I think at this point, you're probably thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're probably thinking like, oh yeah, he's got way too much. I can't sustain this at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it was also just kind of dragging him out because like I knew I had lost the game at like minute after the big fight. So at that point, I just turned my brain off and said, okay, we can just make him exhausted by keep on playing.
Yeah, sometimes that's a good strategy. All right, so let's move into the next game. I think this was a pretty hard game for you to come back from. Not too much to talk about here. So the next game we have Rus and against Albids, another 31-minute game. So you and Valdemar are playing very, very long games. By no means is this like, you know, this is a very close series, right? And I think you felt that throughout most of the series, right?
Yeah.
So
For sure.
in this game in particular, did you expect the Dervish? Did you expect the Desert Raiders at the start?
I did, because Valdemar, he's a very big meta player, which is a good thing, but it also makes him predictable. So I knew how you're supposed to play this matchup side bit, and that's why I didn't go for Pro Scout. Because if I go for Pro Scout, then you get pretty fucked. We saw that in I think it was the EGC, something with Anglesan versus Vortex, where Anglesan just beat Vortex with Rus in like 10 minutes because he went for Pro Scout.
Yeah, interesting. I think this is something that you're really good on, is kind of adapting to strategies very well. I've seen this before when I've played against you before, but you don't have to do the meta. You can do the meta, but it's not something that you really, you know, hung up on. And I like to see that because, you know, sometimes, especially against certain players, that's just not really how you want the direction of the game to go. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think against Valdemar, you kind of want more of a messy game here. You don't want him to kind of be so defensive in the situation. Okay, so you kind
There's a couple players where I have that in mind, where it's like a scale of how cheesy do I have to get to fuck them over. And versus Valdemar, it's like I need to play meta and then like 20% cheese.
Nice, I like that. So we can see here, you're actually behind on villagers. How are you feeling if you're watching the broadcast? How are you feeling at this stage in the game? Sacred Sites 4 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very happy to have enough spearmen to counter my horsemen, and Rus eco is just completely broken. And I feel like I don't really need the vills. I think going for a second CC in this meta is kind of risky in Castle Age. Whereas like Sacred Sites and Relics I value more. At least that's what I've been told by the good players, that you should never go second CC in Castle Age, with some exceptions, of course.
Well, it's kind of paying off
like
here,
a general
right?
theme. Yeah. Because like you just have more passive eco. Like I have way more army, and like the resource income is pretty much the same.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see here that yes, you're behind on villagers, but you have those relics, you have the sacred sites, you have the passive Rus economy, and again, you have fewer villagers, but that allows you to have more units, right? Which gives you better fights. And I mean, this went perfect for you. You really secured the sacred site victory, something that was pretty consistent throughout this game, right? Yeah, so moving on to the next game here. This was a very, very nicely done game by you. Did you have this kind of mind walk play style prepared beforehand?
It's funny you should mention it, because I actually I don't know if I should say this. I don't think it matters, but I had some warm up versus Anatan today, like around like 10 a.m. And I wanted to know what he thought of this matchup and what I should do. He was like, yeah, it's like Japan favorite, and then he played me as I played HRE, and I beat him. And then he was like, okay, maybe it's 50-50, maybe it's HRE favorite. So I was pretty confident going into it what I should do. But I mean, that being said, Valdemar I think played really, really well. Except the part, I think his mistake was going Castle Age. I think you should just shoot Baboon in this matchup. But like the way he came back with the red and his army control.
Yeah, I think that's actually what I was mentioning throughout the game. I think he did a good job of kind of stopping you from doing whatever you want, right? And you can see here that you don't have the walls yet, you don't have the towers to stop these knights, and he was doing a really good job of getting value from those samurai and those Onimusha. But I want I want to highlight again that you focused really heavily on the Sacred Site win condition, and I think a lot of people, especially maybe not as strong people as you, don't focus on Sacred Sites enough as a win condition. Have you been doing that more consistently in your games? Because we've seen that twice today, right? We saw you focus on the Sacred Sites for victory. Yeah, have you been doing that more consistently, or is that just kind of spur of the moment situation here?
I think it's like pretty consistently, I would say. I mean, I can't really put words on it, but yeah, I would say I value them a lot. And if I have map control, then I should also have Sacred Sites. Rule of thumb.
Yeah, I like that a lot because there's multiple styles of playing the game, and you can be aggressive, and this works very well for aggressive players like yourself. Force your opponent to come out towards you, you know, and you obviously you understand that very well, and you're taking advantage of that. So I like to see that. So I don't want to keep you here too long. I want to congratulate you on making it to King of Rockies. It's going to be nice to see you again. Obviously, we just saw each other, but
yeah, no, I'm looking very much forward to it, very much. So I'll have to skip a couple days of school, but that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, big congrats to you. It's great achievement for somebody so young. So again, I'm excited to see you there, and I hope the best for. I hope to see you continue playing, much more Age of Empires 4 in the future.
For sure.
All right, I think unless you have anything else to say.
No, I think I want to get some bigger.
Yeah, go to bed, get some dinner.